Big Sills! By the way, how's everybody feeling? Couple hours after, a day after what happened on Sunday. How you feeling? Dude, it's Cowboy Week. Put that shit in the rear view. It's Cowboy Week. Okay? It's Cowboy Week. Let's go. Worry about that thing that happened to you on Sunday. By the way, let me ask you something here. And I want to throw this at you here. Do you think that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to go on a harder run in the playoffs than what you guys are currently on now? Dallas, Kansas City, Buffalo, San Francisco, and then Dallas. Isn't this current stretch of games going to be harder than anything you'll face in the postseason? Right? Last year you had New York and the Niners. You're not going to go on any harder run than you're on right now. It's actually going to be easier. Right? It's actually going to be easier when you get to the playoffs. You know, because if you're a 1 or 2 seed, you're going to get the lesser team that you're going to have to play in the opening round of the playoffs. I'm assuming you're going to get home field. You're going to get a bye. And then you're probably going to take on the lowest seeded team that comes out of the wild card weekend. Then you're going to play a tough NFC championship game again. Dude, what you're doing right now, you'll never duplicate this in the postseason. Okay? You'll never. Sills, how's your boy Dougie P doing last night? LJ, doing great. He shines up his Eagle championship ring every night before he goes to bed, and he puts it under his pillow and lets you worry about how your coach is shit the bed 10 months ago. Pretty good. I think Doug sleeps pretty well. Did he miss an opportunity? Yeah. It's okay. Always remember something. Bling, bling. Bling, bling. Here's what old Nick Sirianni, and I'm sick and tired of those shitty-ass press conferences that Sirianni puts on. Yeah, man, we should run the ball more. Dude, I don't want to hear that in a Tuesday press conference. I want to see you do that in a football game. Don't tell me what you should have did on a Tuesday. Show me what you need to do on a Sunday, guy. Damn, training wheels coaches, hard at it. Give me a break, dude. You got to get, we need to be more committed and run. Really? It's 14 weeks we're going into now, Nick. Maybe we should be running the ball with more balance. Dude, really? You're going to talk to us now going into week 14 that you should have more balance in your offense. That guy's so bad a coach. Unbelievable, man. The guy is a puppet. He's a librarian. Seriously, man, the next job that Sirianni gets will be as a CPA somewhere in Philly. Don't talk to me on Tuesday about what you needed to do in the game. I don't know anybody in that press corps one iota of an answer on what we should or shouldn't do. Everyone knows it. And here he is again coming out there telling me, well, we need to do this. We need to do that. Well, Jesus, guy. The lamest guy on the planet knows that. Jesus criminy. You got to be kidding me, man. Those are stupid press conferences. They absolutely go nowhere. Oh, and by the way, I'm trying to give you kudos here as you guys head into Dallas. I'm trying to give you kudos. By the way, it's Dallas week. Man, you guys were really beat up yesterday, Eagle fans. It's like your pride got kicked. It's the NFL, man. What'd you do, flip-flop? Hey, AJ, what'd you do, flip-flop? Your 10-2 record didn't matter. You guys got exposed. You got exposed on Sunday. What'd you do, flip-flop? Well, maybe we're not as good as we think we are. Didn't Sil say Mac Jones would benefit from Belichick coaching? I said that Mac Jones would benefit from Bill O'Brien coaching because he coached him to a national championship at Alabama. But obviously, it ain't the defense. It's clearly offensive issues in New England. And Mac Jones isn't the guy. Or maybe they don't have good enough coaches offensively up there. I don't know. By the way, 4 bad years of – you got to love Eagle fan taking a shot at Bill Belichick in New England. Guy's got 24 years of coaching in New England and 6 Super Bowls. Drafted Brady. Coached LT. He's got 4 bad years and 6 rings. I mean, I'll take it. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you take 4 shitty years of football for 6 Super Bowl rings? Not me. I like coming in second place and only having 1 title in 30 years under Jeffrey Lurie. You're nowhere near that franchise and what Bob Kraft has done versus Jeffrey Lurie. It's night and day. It's night and day. Remember, he went to a Super Bowl also with Parcells. Kraft knows how to run a franchise. How you doing? As Angelo would say, it's too easy. Absolutely too easy. I got a nice video that was sent to me by Philly Godfather. Oh, by the way, Philly 500 will join us at 5:30. And our friend Rick Goslin from the Dallas Morning News who covers the Dallas Cowboys and is a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. And I will ask him if he's going to vote for Eric Allen. And so can you ask him, are you going to vote for Eric Allen? We'll make our case for him. Night and day, indeed. 6-1. How you doing? Well, it was all Brady. Well, who drafted him? Who drafted Tom Brady? I forgot. It must have been someone else. By the way, he drafted 5 quarterbacks starting in the NFL. Wasn't like he doesn't know what he's doing at the quarterback position. How you doing? Dougie P. Great coach. Missed opportunity last night. Absolutely. Missed opportunity. Just like you guys getting trucked on Sunday. Missed opportunity. I'm going to say this about the Dallas Cowboys, though. Right here. The Philadelphia Eagle franchise for the last 25 years has played in some of the biggest games in the NFL and have won some really big games. The Dallas Cowboys in the last 25 years have not. There is an opportunity on Sunday for the Cowboys to finally win a big game. This is the biggest game probably since that Green Bay playoff game with the catch, no catch on Dez Bryant that Dallas has played in. You have an opportunity to kind of even the slate here a little bit and make it a race to see who wins the NFC East. These are the games the Cowboys don't win. You got a golden opportunity on Sunday versus the Eagles, who are a wounded team rolling in there. But you're going to have to put the silver stake in their heart and cut their head off, because they're going to come back raring and they're not going to look like they did on Sunday. I can guarantee that. Okay? I can guarantee that. They're not going to look like they did Sunday. And by the way, Dallas is not San Francisco. You know, I was asked a question by Philly Godfather, who's on every Friday at 5:30. Was the Niners' game plan, was that the thing that exposed the Eagles? Yeah, it did. Well, when you got Kittle, Ayuk, Debo, McCaffrey, Trent Williams, an MVP candidate in the quarterback, and a damn good play caller, yeah. But how many teams are you going to run into like San Francisco? One? There's no team in the NFL like San Francisco. When San Francisco is healthy, that's a great football team. It's a great team. So to sit here and go like this, Dallas has got Philadelphia right where they want them. I'm like, you think you're as talented? They beat you by 32. They beat you by 32 points. Dallas is trying to talk themselves into a win. Philadelphia is going to go into Arlington and play themselves into a position to win. Completely the difference in franchises. Totally the difference in how they approach games and how they approach seasons and roster building. I like the fact that Howie takes swings when it comes to trying to find players to bring onto his football team, albeit their spare parts. You know, again, the 49ers shop at the Ferrari place. The Eagles shop at a used car lot when it comes to defensive football players. Greenwell and Fred Warner, those guys are Ferraris. You guys have used automobiles. You have used Acuras. I mean, functional. It's a good car. Those guys are exceptional. That is totally exceptional what San Francisco does. It's funny how John Lynch looks at how he builds a team. It's completely polar opposite than how Howie builds his team. All the positions that Howie ignores, John addresses. Running back, linebackers, corners, safeties, all in the draft too. John's a better drafter than Howie Roseman. He's a better drafter. How is he not? Drafted Purdy. Drafted Ayuk. Drafted Debo. Drafted Kittle. Drafted Bosa. Drafted Warner. I mean, traded for Williams. Traded for Hargrave. Almost every single skilled guy except for McCaffrey, who was traded with Carolina, was homegrown by John Lynch. Purdy wins MVP. Does he hold out next year? I think he's got one more year on that rookie deal. 49ers are not the best organization. They're one of. Trey Lance was a Ferrari. Purdy, dollar store. Okay. Trey Lance was a Ferrari. Yeah, he was sitting right next to Jalen Reagor, Derek Barnett, Andre Dillard, that linebacker you whacked last year or in the offseason, Nakobe Dean. Yeah, okay. All the great corners you've drafted and linebackers. Hey, there's no doubt that was a colossal F-up. But you know what it's being covered by? The same reason that the Carson Wentz deal is being covered up by Jalen Hurts. Brock Purdy's covering it. Same way. And you know where Shanahan learned that from, don't you? Shanahan learned that from his father. Why? What was the similarity between Trey Lance, John Lynch, and San Francisco? You know what the similarities were? When Mike Shanahan drafted RG3, they drafted Kirk Cousins in the 4th or 5th round. They hedged their bets. They made sure they had somebody that they drafted. They had a plan B. Had a plan B. I want to get into something here. By the way, top 10 quarterbacks, top 10 NFL teams. We do that today. MVP race. Interesting how they see it now. Let's do this. Let's start from the very beginning here about your offensive coordinators and how they've performed this year as they get ready for this stretch run, the playoffs, this Dallas game. Give me a grade on Sean Desai so far. What would you give a grade for Sean Desai, the defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles? What, a B, D, C minus, B? I don't think it's D. Okay. LJ says incomplete. Incomplete. When you have some of the worst numbers in the National Football League. Now, he could be making a point. Sills, look at what he's working with. Okay. So, I would go C+. And I'll give you my reasons why here in a minute. What would you give Brian Johnson, the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles? What would you give him? I'm going to write that down. C+ for Sean Desai. What would you give? F, D, D+, C minus, C+. The record's 10-2. They're scoring about 26 points a game. I mean, they're not horrible numbers. There's been 2 shitty games, Jets and Sunday. I don't know. C? So let's just say this, your coordinators are average. Let's now dissect this now. Because in my opinion, and you can quote me on this, I think the front office is completely meddling once again like they did with Doug Peterson's coaching staff. And it's an organizational decision on how they do business, that these guys have to work within confines and restrictions of what they want to do. You have to remember something. When these systems were put in place, do you know why Shane Steichen looked better? Shane Steichen developed this offensive system for Jalen. Brian Johnson's actually coaching Shane Steichen's system for Jalen Hurts. And Sean Desai is working, and I told you this, he was going to look worse this year than Jonathan Gannon because of lesser talent and the way they play defense. This is by design. The number one thing that offense doesn't want to do in 2023, okay, they don't want to lose games, but they don't want Hurts hurt. Their number one priority is get to the playoffs because they know the NFC is so bad. The advantage that they have is that the NFC, there's 2 teams really, and maybe Detroit. There's no one else in the NFC that's going to threaten Philly and San Francisco. Dallas, we'll see. We will see. This is Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie once again making a statement that these coaches have to coach in this type of system. And it's frustrating. You can see it in the game planning. How many times are we going to sit here on a Tuesday or Monday morning, a Monday afternoon, and sit there and say, Why are they playing 10 yards off the ball? Why don't you play press coverage ever? It's by design. That's not a coach is not going to let you complete 78% of your passes. And that's what the quarterbacks have done versus the Eagle defense all year. Do you know what their mentality is? Do you know what their mentality is? Their mentality is, hey, we're going to play zone defense the entire time, hoping you F up. Because in theory, in the NFC, who's the best quarterback not named Jalen Hurts in the NFC right now? Give me your top three. Give me your top three quarterbacks in the NFC. Purdy? Who else? Golf? That's active. Dak, Purdy, and Golf? That's not quite Mahomes, Allen, Lamar. Okay? And then the rest of the NFC, garbage quarterbacks. Sills, what does Matt Patricia even do? I'm gonna get to what I think this is a front office issue again. And this is the shit that got in the way with Doug. And you follow me here. I'm going to get to the offensive side in a minute. I'm not going to continue to come out here on a Monday or Tuesday and sit there and go, why do they play only zone coverage? I know why. It's easier for Howie Roseman to go find players that fit into zone coverage defenses than have a coordinator come in. This is why they don't want new coordinators that don't conform or play in their sandbox. This is a Howie thing. It's easier for Howie to find free agents. It's easier for them to find free agents to fit into a system. They believe in plug and play. They totally believe in plug and play. And Desai has to, you don't really know if Sean Desai's a good coordinator or not. By the way, first two series against San Francisco, the defense was playing like their hair was on fire. What happened? You know what they did? They got nervous that those wide receivers were going to run down the sidelines and there was going to be the plus 25 plays. Why didn't you keep bringing pressure? That's not what they do. Steve goes, I believe you. Do you have the proof? I agree, though. Steve, watch the games. Steve, how many Mondays in the last 2 years? Dude, how about this? Does that defense look any different than last year? Fundamentally and technique-wise? Does it look any different? You got a better group of DTs. Does it look any different? Are they doing anything technically different than what they did a year ago? Some pressure? Joseph goes, they look worse. Yeah, less talent. Less talent. Well, we told you that. Howie Roseman and the front office, this is their system on defense. And this is their decision on how they want to play defense. It's why they invest in D linemen and nothing else. They're going to spend money on corners, an edge rusher, and draft linemen. Everywhere else is expendable. That's what they've done since the 17 Super Bowl. If you fundamentally look at it, every single thing that Doug Peterson said about the Eagle organization, hey, let me back up on this, though, and say this. Mike goes like this, it's a championship losing system. That's an interesting take. Mike's right. You're going to win a ton of games, but when you get into a championship moment, you're never going to hear Philly. Philly's not an analytics play. It's a gut play. That football team is run strictly off of analytics. strictly off of analytics, and that's why you lost the Super Bowl. So when we're banging on these coordinators, they're forced to play in that sandbox with that pail and shovel, or they're not going to be in that sandbox. Okay? It's not about making money. You know what it's about? Howie being able to do his job easier. You know, I'm going to say this too to his side of it. Sills, is it a bad philosophy? Not really. But is it a championship mentality? And is it a championship philosophy? Because when you play the really great teams like San Francisco and like you did 10 months ago, you're going to get beaten games like that. You're going to win 95% of the football games you're in until you face teams that know how to take it apart. There's a lot of voices, in my opinion, in that front office on Sunday game preparation. That guy, Alec Halaby, look him up. I brought him up. Xander, take a look at that guy's bio. Alec Halaby. Look at the bio. Game day analysis, analytics, player evaluation, game strategy. I thought that was designed for the coaches. That's Howie's number one dude every single day on player evaluation, approaching how to beat teams, the analytics of every team, and the analytics of every coach. Look it up. Look it up. Look at his job title. Look at his job title. He has got more responsibility than Nick. He evaluates Nick's players. He evaluates Nick's game plan. He puts an analysis on the defensive game plan. I went back and looked at his job title. You don't have a head coach making decisions in game. That's why it looks the way it does. There's too many voices again. You don't have clarity. And that's why the game plan, the coaches, do you know why the Eagles back their coaches, especially their assistants? Because they fall on the sword. Nick Sirianni falls on the sword for Howie. And the assistants fall on the sword for Nick. That's why he's constantly saying, yeah, we got to do a better job here. Or that was my call. When you're an NFL coach like Pete Carroll and Belichick or Andy, not falling on the sword for anybody. Because you're not answering anything. You don't owe it to anybody. It's a fall in line mentality. Now look, it's pretty successful. But it's not ultimately successful. I keep asking this question to you guys. This is the 30th anniversary of Jeffrey Lurie owning the Philadelphia Eagles. And I've asked you it again, and I'm going to ask you one more time. Do you think his 30 years have been overachieving or underachieving? I want to ask you one more time that question. Do you think he's over or underachieved as an Eagle head coach? Let's see who's won more. Steve Biscotti's won more. Shit, Jerry Jones has won more. Kraft has won more. Let's see who else. The Rooneys. The Glazers. One title in 30 years is underachieving. It has been decent. Isn't Jeffrey Lurie a little bit above Andy Reid? A little bit more of an overachiever? Stan Kroenke? Kroenke's got 2. You're right. One in St. Louis and one in L.A. You're right. No, wait a minute. That wasn't under Kroenke. That was Georgie Frenier. That was not Stan Kroenke's Super Bowl. That was Georgie Frenier with Charlie Army running the team. Carol Rosenblum's former wife, she owned the Rams in St. Louis at the time. That was not Kroenke's team. Kroenke may have been a part owner, though. So maybe you give him some credit in there for that. The Mars have won 2. That's right. And the Tishes. Underachieving for sure. Front office could be holding us back. The front office gets in the way. And that's why good coaches get fired in Philly. Think about that. You know why good coaches get fired in Philly? Because they don't have the autonomy they want. Now, Andy's was different. May have just run its course. 14 years, Was it running out of steam like Belichick is running out of steam in New England? Probably. Was it time to move on? Yeah, probably. 14 years in one place? What did Walsh always say? Hey, 10 years, when you start getting over that 10-year number, it's time for coaches to move on or think about moving on. Being in one place, they'll vilify you by the end, especially if you've been a successful coach. Take a look at Don Shula's first 10 years versus his last 10 years as a Miami Dolphin head coach. You tell me what you think of that. Look what Shula did his first 10 years as the head coach of the Dolphins versus his last 10. Same with Landry. Look at Landry's first 10 and then his last 10. And all those great coaches, okay, it starts great, ends horrible. Okay, so Andy probably, right, at the end? You know what's crazy is that the Eagles, they moved off of Doug Peterson to keep what's going on right now. They have not changed their mentality. And I think it's why you lost that Super Bowl 10 months ago. Because you do not have quality coaches. Some of you think Nick Sirianni's a great coach. Can you tell? Every coach you've had since Jeffrey Lurie's owned the team has never had a losing record. Most of them have been successful. Whatever you want to say about Chip, he brought Lane in. I think they drafted Kelsey. They also brought Jeff Stoutland in. Didn't Chip do that too? Wasn't like he was a non-factor. He put some of the pieces that would help you go on and win a Super Bowl. I mean, am I wrong? He brought Jeff Stoutland, your second best position coach since Jim Johnson. Andy drafted Kelsey. Okay, that's right. Andy drafted Kelsey and Travis. Okay, you're right. But Lane, by the way, Lane was so good, man. Oh, hey, congratulations to Lane Johnson on being named the Philadelphia Eagles Walter Payton Man of the Year. It's a tremendous honor. I played against Walter Payton, and Jared Payton went to the University of Miami, and I'm dear friends with him, and the family is really tied into that award. It means a lot to them. Walter was a special person, and Jared, I tweeted it out, and he sent me a text. He goes, man, I like Lane Johnson. I go, I'll tell you what, man, he's a good community guy. People in Philadelphia love and revere the guy. I surely hope at the end of the year, he's the guy standing and he's the Walter Payton Man of the Year. I really do. And if I can have any influence on Jared Payton, I talked to him today about it. And I said, Jared, I really like this guy. It seems that he really loves playing in Philly. And he's the best right tackle I've seen in pro football, maybe in my lifetime. I mean, he killed Nick Bosa. Killed him. Bosa got pressure. Bosa's the reigning defensive player of the year. I thought he shut him down. Made some plays. He did. He's going to make plays. He's a great football player. But I thought Lane was better. Okay? Thank you, Barb. Hey, Barb, when you're old, you start to know people. You know what I mean? Yeah, and Michael, and not healthy. He had a great game. He really did. He had a great game. He was so good in that football game. He absolutely was tremendous. Guys, am I off base? Tell me something here. Here, let me ask you this. Did the front office get in the way of Doug? Joe Ho says, Sills, ain't you happy we lost? Just saying. I could care less if you win or lose. It's better for my... Hey, Ho, I'm going to hook you up on something. It's better for my show if you win. What, you want me to lie? Pretend that I'm an Eagle fan? Why would I want you to lose and cover a 4-win team? Or a quarterback that blows? Who in the world wants to cover the Arizona Cardinals? You have me way... Right? Xander knows me. Why would I want to cover a 4-win team with a shitty quarterback? Why would I want to do that? I do what's best for my show. Ho. Come on, Ho. So you guys agree then. So do you think Howie's changed under Nick? So you guys just got through saying, Kathy goes, yes, because the front office didn't let Doug Peterson bring his own people in. Okay. So let me ask you this. You think the front office allowed Nick to bring his own people in? So do you agree that Howie and the front office still are doing what they did under Doug now? You just did. That LT held Nick Bosa. No, he didn't. Killed him. If there ain't a flag, it ain't a penalty. That's wishful thinking, dude. Hey, Seals, be grateful you don't have to cover the Cardinals. Very true. Very true. So wait, hang on here. What did I just see? Yeah, Shane and Gannon were Nick guys. Steichen and Gannon were not Nick guys. They were Frank Reich guys. Frank Reich recommended them. Because Nick, dude, Xander Krause was producing the show when we had Frank Reich on. Frank, who contacted you first when it came to trading Carson Wentz? The owner. Then Howie called. Who recommended Nick? I did. To who? To the owner. Then Howie called. Go back and listen. That happened right here on the program. Nick, guys. It was a recommendation because what's his name was the head coach of the Colts. Was the head coach of the Colts during that whole process. He said it on this program. Howard Eskin took the interview and put it on IP. Don't you remember that? Some of you are brand new to the show. So I got to be careful here because some of you don't know what I'm talking about. When Nick Sirianni got hired, do you know how that whole thing went down? I'll help you out here. Frank recommended him. During the whole trading of Wentz, Doug gets fired. He says, you should take a look at this guy. He prepped him for how the Eagles run their organization. Rest is history. Oh, that's right. Sileo don't know anybody. By the way, tell you what Howie's little tentacles are doing. Do you find it a little bit suspect? And could you, if Zach Ertz lands in Philly, do you think you could have some teams like the Cowboys ask if there was a little bit of collusion going on between Gannon and the Cardinals and the Eagles and Howie? I mean, do you find the timing? And Steichen, they cut him and he lands in Philly. I don't know. It seems a little weird, right? Ertz demands a trade. All right. What again? Gannon goes, okay. Now they're talking potentially about having Zach Ertz reunited. Boy, I'll tell you what, Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz as your two tight ends heading into the stretch run in playoffs. Ertz is not going to be Zach Ertz of 5 years ago, but Zach Ertz on 20 plays, I'll take it. I'll take it. Shaq Leonard played for Frank. We talked to Frank. By the way, Nick was in Indianapolis when Shaq Leonard was in Indianapolis. He was the OC. I don't know. It just looks a little, I don't know. I mean, if Zach Ertz lands in Philly, man, you're going to have a lot of teams going, all right, hang on here. Hang on here. That's a GOAT move, actually. I would give Howie kudos for being a GOAT, for doing that. Hey, Blue Horseshoe says, Zach, I got a spot for you. I know it ended shitty here, and I fired you in the tunnel after Monday Night Football and sent your ass to the Cardinals. But hey, if the linebacker kid can make up with Pete Carroll in Seattle, let's me and you hook up. How you doing? Put your egos aside. Make that baby happen. Ertz is toast, KC says. 20 plays? You're not asking him to start. But the garbage you have behind Dallas Goedert, you didn't even target a tight end. In the 49er game, you didn't even attempt to go anywhere. Zach Ertz is toast. What do you have behind him? Broken eggshells? Yeah. Dude, I like, look at a guy like LJ. LJ doesn't believe that the general manager ran the team. Oh, he believes that he ran the team and it got in the way of Doug. But a training wheels new head coach had more autonomy than the guy who won you the Super Bowl. You can't even have any more backwards thinking than LJ. Hey, you know what? The guy who won me the Super Bowl, I want to take the power from him. But the guy who's a training wheels and just graduated kindergarten, I'm going to give you all the autonomy to pick your coaches and players. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Sure. Nick couldn't pick his nose without asking Howie. Hey, Howie, is this okay? Julio Jones? Hey, I really want Julio Jones. I would say the only thing that Nick Sirianni's ever asked for and got was Zach Pascal. Honestly. Would be Zach Pascal. Yeah. Hey, can I have Zach? It's $900,000, sure. Why not? Darman goes 4-11-1. Yeah, your general manager sabotaged the head coach so that he could get him out of there. Nate Sudfeld is as much as of a legend as Nick Foles is. Nate Sudfeld is was the last quarterback that Howie wanted to play quarterback for Doug Peterson to make sure he lost the final game. They get a better draft pick. Every player on the bench And everyone in here knows when you looked over at Jason Kelsey and you saw that O-line and you saw people doing this, what the F? Yeah, okay. Not here. We don't throw games. You threw one. You threw one. Howie wanted the Eagles to go 4-11? No, he wanted Doug Peterson fired because he didn't want to go through what he went through with Chip Kelly. Doug won a Super Bowl. You can have a down season. Okay? Again, this is the point where we are today with these coordinators. We're talking about the history that applies to the present. Today, Nick doesn't have – those coaches are working in a very hard situation, is my point. How can they do anything when they're being told what to do? You really think Brian Johnson's the play caller? Or he has to work within restrictions? Okay? There's LJ not knowing the story about Schottenheimer going 14-2. He didn't go 14-2. And it's a great thank you, LJ, for that. It reminds me of front offices having more power. The guy's name, who was the general manager of the Chargers at the time, I covered the team, was A.J. Smith. And the Spanos family believed in, like the Eagles do, having their general manager have more power than their head coach. Well, if you remember correctly, Marty wanted to keep Drew Brees, who had already been a Pro Bowler in San Diego. But AJ drafted Phillip Rivers. They went 14-2 and should have won that AFC title game. Marty Schottenheimer said, I am not trading Drew Brees. I don't want to play him in the final game. So what happened? The front office superseded, put Drew Brees in, and against Kansas City, he blew his shoulder out. The Chargers got nothing for Drew Brees. Just cut him. Nothing. And Dr. Andrews had to put him together like Humpty Dumpty. He became a free agent. The guy in the open market that year was Dante Culpepper. Wasn't Drew Brees. He was the second guy in line. And he fell into Sean Payton's lap in New Orleans. Marty was fired because he was fighting to keep Brees and not play him. But the front office got in the way. Thank you, LJ. I appreciate that. Front offices that get in the way limit your chances, I think, of winning the big games. And that's where we are. How can you tell if these coordinators are good when you're doing the same shit you were doing to Doug? I'm wrong? That's not how I see it. Every Monday, why are you playing 10 yards off the ball? Why are you playing 10 yards off the ball? Why are you playing 10 yards off the ball? Why aren't you running the ball? Let's get to the offensive side now. The Philadelphia Eagles mentality in the front office is don't get Jalen Hurts hurt. The NFC is not very good. We'll win the NFC. It's San Francisco and us. We could beat these teams, whatever. We don't really have to play our A game. When you were asked to play your A game, you got killed. Like, you're not going to have to play an A game against Dallas. You could play a Dallas. You played as. Would we not agree? Would we not agree? What would you say you guys played against Dallas? A C-plus game? Would you agree? You guys probably played a C-plus game against the Cowboys. Would that be fair? B minus, C minus? Okay, sure. Pick one. What would you give a grade of how you guys play? C plus sounds right. The Cowboys are counting on you to play a D minus game to beat them. You don't have to play your A game like you did against San Francisco. You can't play C plus games against San Francisco. It's the only team you had to play in the last 3 years. As Kansas City 10 months ago, okay? It's the only team you had to play an A game against. You haven't had to play an A game in 2.5 years. Dude, Sunday against the Cowboys, the Eagles could play C+. The Cowboys have to play an A game to beat you. The Cowboys, in my opinion, they played their best game of the year against you and still couldn't beat you. And you played like a C game. Think of that. You don't have to play an A+ game against that team to beat them. They're counting on you to come off that 49er game. And you know what I said yesterday? You guys are going to get beat. I don't know. It depends on how the injuries and the defense responds. I think the offense is going to respond. I really do. But you don't have to play a superstar game against Dallas to beat them. You know this. Here, for you to win the Super Bowl this year, you got to play an A+ game against San Francisco, maybe the Ravens. Everyone else, do you guys think you played an A+ game against Kansas City? I don't. You think you played an A+ game against Buffalo? I don't. You saw what an A+ game looked like Sunday. You had to play an A+ game, and you couldn't do it because you were tired, fatigued. Like I said in the open of the program, you're never going to go this year, and I mean the Super Bowl. Look, check it out. Check it out for a Super Bowl run. Hypothetically, let's say that you guys win home field. So you'll probably play. Who will be the third seed if it pans out? Detroit? So Detroit is the third. You play Detroit in the divisional game. You'll beat them. Then you got to play the Niners. That's going to be the game. Detroit, Niners, and then Ravens. Look at what you just played. Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills, Niners, Cowboys. You ain't playing a tougher stretch than that. You are not playing a tougher stretch. Right. Hey, that 9-3 Lions team, I'm with you, Maniac. I don't know. I saw the Ravens boat race them. In the playoffs, Jalen will be more aggressive. Lord, 84, his legs to extend plays. Could that be a different, could that be when they're going to unleash the RPO offenses in the playoffs? Maybe. Because, like I said, the one thing that was totally missing from that 49er game, from the NFC title game 10, 11 months ago, was that you ran no RPOs almost in that game on Sunday. And that neutralized Fred Warner and the linebackers. The linebackers were all over the field. I thought that Greenwell ejection was going to be a big deal. I did, because he's a freaking tone setter. Only our A game was Miami, in my opinion. LJ, really? I think you guys blasted everybody this year. Do you think you probably A game? Yeah, because you dominated them. Okay, I'll give you that. Okay, yeah, all right. But you beat all these teams with C+ efforts. You had a C+ effort against the Cowboys. They had an A+ effort and couldn't beat you. Dude, you can go into Dallas. You have a B effort, you're going to blow them out. Run the ball at Parsons. That's not San Francisco. That's not San Francisco. San Francisco is dynamic on defense. They're not. Did you see what Geno Smith did to him? Geno Smith put 30 points on him and almost had a perfect quarterback rating. Geno Smith. I mean, DK Metcalf ate Deron Bland up. They were talking. You know what they were saying about him? They were saying that he's in line for the Defensive Player of the Year. I was like, not after Seattle or not. That's not how I see that. Okay. That guy, that's not how I see that. That guy got toasted. Okay, I mean, I don't think DK was, they were playing pitch and catch with that dude, man. Andre, that's right. The 49ers are a dynamic team when healthy. I'm going to give you the deficiency, though. We need more A games, though. Agreed. But here's the difference why you can win the Super Bowl. Okay? If Trent Williams goes down or Debo goes out, he's a different quarterback. Look at his numbers. There's more turnovers, and his quarterback rating plummets. Jalen Hurts beat the Bills without Lane Johnson. Brock Purdy's not beating anybody without Trent Williams. He's not. He is just not doing it. There lies the difference. Look, your deficiencies are totally on defense. They're not on offense. Well, except for your coaching staff. The problems the Eagles have this year compared to last year, your coaching staff and limited talent on defense. Seals, we were fatigued last week. That was my mantra all week long. Why would this week be different, any different, or the rest of the season for that matter? Because you're not going to play a team dirty D like San Francisco. Dallas is not in San Francisco's league. I'm not saying you don't have to put a great effort up, but what I'm saying is you're not going to be threatened by a team. Hey, I'm going to do something here. SOS. SOS. Have you seen Mozzie Smith? Jerry Jones was trying to tell me that guy's the next Reggie White. The next Reggie White is in Philly, and his name is Jalen Carter. Mozzie Smith has 10 tackles. I had 23 my rookie year. He's got 10 tackles. That guy sucks. Does he play? Bradbury against the Niners. 0 passes allowed. Slay 3 for 35. Morrow 6. I saw that. 6 catches, 175, 2 TDs. They're going to attack the tight ends or the linebackers. Dallas is going to do that. Seals needs some bass in his voice. Thank you, Morrow. Thank you. Okay. That's a brother. Yeah. He was saying steal of the draft, Mozzie Smith. Steal of the draft. Oh, you mean the player stealing the money? Okay, sure. Sure, okay. Seals, how come you never became a coach? Because I can't take ignorance and I can't take people who don't want to be coached. And when you start paying people, I was offered numerous opportunities with the Cleveland Browns, North Carolina, Miami Dolphins, Dave Wannstedt, and Jimmy. Let's see who else. I was offered a spot in the Raider organization in scouting with Ken Herrick. Sometimes I wonder, maybe I should have did that. I sat in the meeting when John Gruden was your offensive coordinator and interviewed for the job. And I sat in the back with Al Davis. That's a fact. And I get this. I have a letter from Al Locasal that I post with that exact comment. Congratulations, Dan. You're one of the very few people that got to sit in a hiring of a head coach. And Al Davis and Al Locasal looked over at me. And you know what I said about John Gruden? He's awful smart. His grandfather helped build the 49ers. I said, but that's a really complex, and that is without a doubt, you have to have an experienced and veteran quarterback to understand the terminology, because that's why he doesn't. If you look at John Gruden's quarterbacks, what rookie quarterback did he ever work with? Derek Carr? But Derek Carr was kind of there when he got there, right? I mean, he never had a rookie quarterback. Tim Rattay's, Brad Johnson's, right? He never had quarterbacks that he had that were rookies. Didn't work with them because they couldn't understand the terminology. And I said, you better have a good old line. That's why Bill Callahan became the head coach with John Gruden, and he left to go to the Bucs. Bill Callahan's the second best offensive line coach, and he's in Cleveland right now. That's why Cleveland's still winning games and that defense. Bill Callahan is as good an O-line coach as Jeff Stoutland is. He's a tremendous coach. Those are the two best O-line coaches in pro football. Okay? You didn't like Jim Druckenmiller or Gino Carmazzi? He wasn't in San Francisco. He was a quality control guy in San Francisco when he was there. And he got the job in, I think, wasn't it Ray Rhodes that hired him? Was it Rhodes that hired Gruden in Philly? I thought it was Ray Rhodes that hired him. And, hey, the whole progression, that's how Jay Gruden got the head coaching job in Washington. Because Bruce Allen was the former general manager of the Buccaneers, right? Well, Daniel Snyder wanted to hire John Gruden. And he said, no, you should hire my brother. You know who was on that staff? Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay. Sucks how Gruden ended. Yes, dirty. Think about that. Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan were on Jay Gruden's coaching staff. Okay? They were on the coaching staff. Gruden said no. You know who they recommended Sean McVay to? Stan Kroenke. Because Kroenke wanted Gruden to be the head coach of the Rams. Said, no, we got a kid here in McVay. Turned out to be a sensational hire. You'd make a solid D-line coach back to hate now. Roland goes, Morrow is trash. Roland, what did you think? You're playing a guy that was cut twice this year. Are you under some impression that you have superstar players like San Francisco has Greenlaw? Dude, Greenlaw and Fred Warner might be the two best linebacking duo in the league. Okay? It's funny, Matt says, Sil should coach the Eagles. You know what I would do? Do you know if I were the coach of the Eagles, I'd be fired in a week. Because you know what I would say? Sean, Brian, let's see the game plans. Explain to me why we're attacking it this way. I talked to Stoutland. Why aren't we running effectively? And as soon as the front office guy would come in, I would say, get the fuck out. We're having a coaching meeting here. And that's how you get fired. I don't want to hear what an analytics guy who puts pencils behind his ear. And I'm not talking about Patricia. I'm talking about some guy who sits in a front office drinking coffee all day, looking at computers. I don't want to hear him. I want to have a guy in front of me. You should watch how Coach Johnson used to do it. Dave Wannstedt, North Turner would come to him and go, they would have to make their case why they're playing this way against, say, Philly. And Jimmy would sit there and go, okay. And game time would come on Sunday. Coach Johnson had no input, only in timeouts and 2-minute warning, going into half and at the end of games. And maybe some substitutions on special teams. Other than that, he waited till the Monday meeting, whether to get in the coaches' asses or not. This didn't work. Why? That didn't work. Why? He held his coaches accountable. The players were his responsibility. That's why Coach Johnson had the youngest team in the NFL when they won those 3 Super Bowls. He picked the players, he picked the coaches, and he let the coaches play, or he let the coaches coach, and he let the players play. And Jerry didn't like that because he had no say. He just signed the checks. That wasn't good enough for him. He wanted to have more input. Well, Jimmy didn't want to have any more input. And since Jerry Jones has put input into the team, they've never won again. Doesn't that tell you something? By the way, that 17th Super Bowl team that the Eagles won, boy, I'll tell you, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did it. Because that team was a one-year wonder. That thing got blown up. People wanted credit. 2 years later, 4-11. Okay. I mean, how do you go from a Super Bowl team to 4-11-1 in 2 years? Ego. That's how that happens. That's how that happens. Rick Gosselin's going to join us. Dallas Morning News and also Talk of Fame Network. That'll be at 4:30. Philly 500 will join us also at 5:30 Eastern Time. Don't forget, the month of December, our good friends at Hooters, man, we're really looking forward to seeing all of you this weekend at King of Prussia. Hooters bonus bucks. Santa's bonus bucks are back. These things make great stocking stuffers here, man, along with the calendar, 2024. They got $100 in gift cards and coupons that are inside the calendars. 9 of the girls are featured in the calendar from the Northeast section, all the way up from Rhode Island through Jersey down to King of Prussia. Absolutely spectacular, man. Got to get these. You can also do this, HootersToGo.com. Wonderful way to get the food. I love it. The steamers are sensational. I love seafood Sundays, half price. Stone crabs. You got buffalo shrimp. The steamers are sensational, man. Happy hours Monday through Friday, 6 items, $6. Fried pickles. Wing Wednesdays, 1983. That's the year the place was founded. Kids eat for free on Saturday. Military Mondays, 20% off with all of our great men and women who serve this fabulous country. We so appreciate you guys doing that. We have a special day for you called Military Mondays. NortheastTutors.com. That's NortheastTutors.com. And do me a favor, every time you roll in, tell them Big Sil sent you.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
Any professional sports coach will tell you there's no substitution for preparation. At Malamut & Associates, that is a tenet by which we live. We prepare from day one for victory. Anything less is not acceptable.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their Fantasy Pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, Then do what you usually do on a Sunday. Watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Something I am going to defend Nick on here. I'm going to do that here in a second. Also, top 10 NFL teams, quarterbacks, MVP race. I heard people saying this about Shaq Leonard. Does he have anything left? And I would make this comment to you about whether he has anything left. And I said it yesterday. It's not that I don't think this guy doesn't have any talent left. I think this guy's just gone through a bum run of bad injuries. I think he could clearly be an impactful player on Sunday. It's better than anything you got now. And by the way, I want to be fair to Zach Cunningham. I actually think Zach's played pretty well. I think he's played pretty well. Okay? I think he's played well. And I think look, Zach Cunningham and Shaq Leonard, I don't know. It's not quite Greenlaw and Fred Warner, but could that be better than Dallas's linebackers? I don't know. Dallas is that much ahead of you on that. Okay? Dallas's linebackers are nobody to write home about. They're nobody to write home about here. Dallas doesn't have a physical defense. They get killed with physical teams. The problem with the Eagles, they stopped being physical. Why don't you go back to being a bully? Why are you pretending to be some finesse passing team? Go back to mugging people. Go back to kicking people in the balls. Go back to kicking people and gouging eyes out. Go back to putting elbows on people. I'll tell you something else that's hurting your run game. Jason Kelce was horrific in that 49er game. He got destroyed by Javon Hargrave. No one's telling you the truth there. He got destroyed. I don't know. That's the first game I've seen Jason Kelce not look very good. He got destroyed. Javon Hargrave kicked the shit out of him. Okay? He did. Yeah. By the way, could he be exhausted? Remember what? You know what's crazy? I told you this. Okay? I told you this last week. Jason Kelce against the Bills. Remember those 2 illegal procedure penalties? And then the performance on Sunday? The guy's gassed. He's gassed. He needs the bye. I don't think Dallas has anybody that's going to kick his ass in this game. I just don't see him. And somebody goes, Sills, are they going to? How are they going to recover? Because you're not playing against that 49er team. You don't have to give an A effort to beat that team. You just don't. You can have some offsides. You can have some illegal procedure penalties. You can have a pick and still beat Dallas by 10. Hey, that's a good point. Sully, You think the tush push is also maybe taking its toll on him? Did you ever think of that? Did you see that one stat that the tush push with Carson Wentz, 26 to 29 successful attempts that they did the tush push with Carson Wentz? Dude, it's not just Hurts. It's Kelsey. When Kelsey leaves the Eagle organization, that play's over. You will never see that football. That's why they may not ban it. They may not ban that play because you know why? Once he leaves, it's over. And he's gone, that thing's over. And by the way, something about Shaq Leonard I want to bring to your attention before we move on to the top 10 teams in the NFL. How many people trust the doctors in Indianapolis? At the beginning of the year, Jonathan Taylor goes, I'm not hurt. But they sat him. There's two sides to look at this. Okay? I'll get to the other side in a minute. Right. Maniac goes, I don't even trust my own doctor. Correct. Jonathan Taylor, how many times did he go like this? Hey, I'm not hurt. And they sat him because he mouthed off to Jim Irsay. Okay? That's a good one too, Andrew Luck. Look how many misdiagnoses they did on his ass. So, Shaq Leonard, man, Indianapolis, I don't trust anything in that building. Now, on the other side of that, you're a 7-5 team and you're dumping an all-pro linebacker. A little nervous on that one. So wait a minute. Is it because you have a problem with players speaking out against coaches and organizations? Taylor spoke out against Jim Irsay, and Shaq Leonard spoke out against playing time. One guy was punished, the other guy was cut. Would they do things in Indianapolis to spite themselves? Of course they would. You fired Carson Wentz, who had 3,800 passing yards, 68% completion percentage, 27 touchdowns, and 6 picks. And he called him a bum. And you've never had anybody in the building since Andrew Luck that had better numbers than that. So do you really trust that guy? That's why I look, if I'm the Eagles and I'm doing my due diligence, I got to take the source. And that's why maybe Frank Reich comes into play here. When Frank was in Indy, Nick was in Indy, Shane was in Indy. Why would you trust doctors that Irsay probably hired just to fill his drug? Yeah, Warrior. I don't trust Jim Irsay. Now, you're 7-5. You got to put that in context, too. They're in the playoff hunt. Right now, if the playoffs were to start, they'd be in it. Roland. Hey, Roland. How would you like Frank Reich on tomorrow? Or this week? How would you like to have Frank Reich on this week? Would you like that? Shit, Xander, how many times have we had Frank on the network in general? 5? Let's see if we get him on again. I'll make a text to him. We'll talk everything. How's that for you? I'll flat out ask him, will you have the Eagles reached out to you? Look at Jacob's history. He's probably done, wouldn't you not agree? He's probably done our network more than any place, including the national networks, in the last 2 years of any outlet. It's because of us. We're a team, not just me. Okay? And by the way, when we get Rick Gosselin on, you guys all should post Eric Allen Hall of Fame, because Rick's the chairman of the Veterans Committee, and he's also one of the Hall of Fame voters. You guys convinced Jason Cole to vote for Eric Allen. You want another one? Convinced Rick Gosselin. Because your hometown guys ain't getting it done. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring on all 48 of the Hall of Fame panel voters that I happen to put lists together for. Jarrett Bell. Okay? All those guys. The guy in New York. And we'll put them all on. And you guys can make your pitch. Fair? That'll be my holiday gift to you guys. Is bringing all these guys on to make the pitch because your hometown guys on the Inquirer, okay, they don't make a strong enough pitch for Eric Allen. Sales saw Stallone's shout out the Bird Sunday. Guess he delivered. Doing a Rocky celebration in Philly. I text him that. You got to throw a shout out. I told you he would do it. I text him. Hey, Q, thank you for reminding me that. My wife goes, holy shit, look at this. Stallone, because my phone's sitting next to my wife, she goes, holy shit, Stallone did a shout out to the Eagles. I know, man. I saw it too. I saw it. Okay. Sills is the Sopranos of radio. Are you calling this show not the National Football Show? You're calling it the Bada Bing Show? Holy shit, I like it. I don't know if Big Joe's going to like it, but we could now rename the show the Bada Bing Show, the National Bada Bing Show. I like it. Oh, yeah, the Bada Bing. Not that I've been to places like that. I only heard. All right, let me get to my top teams in National Football League. We'll get to that here in a second here. I think he's going to bring a lot to the table, man. I do. I have good feelings about Shaq Leonard coming to the Eagles this year. Okay, hey, Morrow goes to bang. Hey, you're into bang. See, only people that'll be in here will know what that means from now on. Hey, I got to check out the bang, 2 to 6 Eastern. You'll be like, people be like this. What's that? Let's start that. I'm going to hashtag that. Big Sills, the bang. Dang. Hey, Morrow, the bang. I don't know if I like big pussy. Xander might call me that, but I don't know if I like that. All right, here. Let me get to this here before I get in too much trouble here. Hang on here. All right, let me go. Here we are. Yeah, he was a rat. I'm not a rat. That ain't happening. There you go. This is going to be a crazy list. This is going to be a crazy list. Okay? Okay, here we go. The Big Sills. Top 10 NFL teams. Number 10. He wears a flight jacket. He wears pilot's glasses. He's got a mullet. He is Gardner Minshew and his Indianapolis Colts. Hard to believe. I have that team ranked 10th on my best NFL teams heading into week 14. Shane Steichen is a better head coach than Nick Sirianni. No? Is he a better head coach than Nick? Kirby, he's doing the impossible. You lose Anthony Richardson. You put Gardner Minshew, which you guys called garbage Minshew. And now he's 7-5. on a team that I thought would be one of the worst teams in the NFL next to Houston. Speaking of Houston, who would you pick? I get Houston 9. They're pretty good on defense. Will Anderson and C.J. Stroud, they hit grand slams on both guys. Listen, Will Anderson's a great football player, but he's just getting overshadowed by Stroud and what he's doing. Okay? Who's doing a better job of coaching? Shane Steichen or DeMeco Ryans? Who's doing a better job? I don't like to straddle the fence because it hurts. Could you flip a coin and go, okay? Tie? Maybe that ends that way, right? Maybe that ends that way. Dude, that's pretty crazy. I like DeMeco, what he's doing with the quarterback and all that. And their defense is good. Number 8, I'm sorry, but I still have to put the Jags here. Missed opportunity last night. They're now 8-4 on the season. And from what we found out, it was an ankle injury, and he's not going to be lost for the season, Trevor Lawrence. But clearly a missed opportunity for the Jags. They win, they have the number 1 seed in the AFC. Drop the ball. Hey, that kid Browning was good. Hey, help me out here, guys. Is that the kid Browning from Washington who played with the Huskies? Is that kid Browning? Is that Jake Browning from the Washington Huskies? Right? Bengals are still in this thing too. They are. I mean, did he play? He that's a kid from the Huskies, like all-time leading passer and like Pac-12 history. Crazy. I got the Chiefs 7. I'm not buying that offense. Eric Bieniemy's loss is a thing. I got the Lions at 6. Who do you believe in more, the Lions or the Jags? Jesus. Lions? Lions? Yeah, I thought Browning was impressive last night. I did. I thought he was good, man. Lions? Okay. Now we move into the top 5. Yeah, Doug Peterson probably because I did the Jags. Dan Campbell's a good coach, though, man. He's going to get consideration for NFL Coach of the Year, too. Yeah, that's right, Warrior. Jags because of Dougie. I got the Dolphins 5. Jalen Ramsey's playing good ball. They're running the ball. Their defense is better. Tua's playing exceptional. Tua's going to make a lot of money at the end of the year. If that guy doesn't get his brain shook up and that guy doesn't get a concussion, can you imagine this? Right now, his agent must be sitting here doing this. And I don't know if his agent's not Drew Rosenhaus, but his agent must be going every time that guy steps on the field, it could cost him $250 million, $250 million if he gets a concussion. One concussion, Tagovailoa will lose $250 million. Think about that. So when you say that guy's not tough, $250 million every snap he takes the rest of the way out. Every time he takes a snap could cost him $250 million. Tua's not turnover prone. That's not true. Okay? Hey, $250 million. Guy falls down, blows his knee out. Anything he does could cost him that money. I got the Cowboys at 4. Cowboys have an opportunity against the Philadelphia Eagles to do something they haven't done in 30 years. Win a big game. Win a big game. Guys, if Dallas beats you, holy hell is going to break loose. Oh, my God. The absolute over-the-top, over-covering. You would think that the Lombardi Trophy was handed out. Oh, my God, Park Avenue. That slam dunks the MVP award if he wins. He wins the MVP. If he beats Jalen, it's over. It's over. At 3, I got the Ravens. Think the Ravens look like they could be the team to come out of the AFC. Chris, they won't be better than you because the Eagles are going through a tough little run here. But it will be obnoxious. Oh, completely obnoxious. Hey, and for the record, just so you guys know, one of the things that Xander Krause and the only thing that Xander Krause had on the program that was a no-no, I couldn't hang the cowboy helmet up because it kept running interference. I personally think he sabotaged, and he was putting the reverse juju on the whole thing. So I had to put it in a box and put it away because we didn't want to have any bad vibes. And guess what I ended up telling Gary Cobb? You better take that cowboy helmet out of the back because I get you on every week. We can't have that. Oh, hey, some programming news. For the rest of the year, Angelo Cataldi will join me every Monday at 5:30. And we will talk birds with him, Philly sports. That'll be 5:30. So Gary Cobb from Fox 29 at 4:30. And also Angelo Cataldi every Monday at 5:30. The legendary Angelo from WIP will join us each and every single Monday. So our Mondays are now filled and packed. So, and by the way, we send a lot of love out to our friend Tone, who joins us on the segment. He's going through some personal issues, but be resolved soon. And we look forward to getting him back. So going to be packed the rest of the way out. We appreciate everybody. Hey, I know. Hey, how about that, Barb? Angelo, he called me on it though. He goes, I'm doing your shit for free. I go, yeah. It's a Paisan thing. He goes, well, would you do it for me? I go, yeah, I think. Yeah. And Xander knows. Hey, would you do it for him for free? I don't know. I don't know. Maniac, when are you going to be a guest? I don't know, dude. You know what? I got to meet you first, That's how I work here. I gotta see you. I gotta press a palm, down a couple here, throw the head back a few times. We gotta see what's up. How you doing? Here's the top 2. Eagles 2, Niners 1. Okay? Eagles 2, Niners 1. So here's your top 10. 49ers on December 5th. That doesn't mean January 5th. Niners, Eagles, Ravens, Cowboys, Dolphins, Lions, Chiefs, Jags, Texans, Colts. Remember something. As long as you're 1-2 in the NFC, what do you care? You get a shot at the NFC title to make your point in your case. What do you care? As long as you're not 6th, and you're not. Dude, like I said to you guys about your football team, the Eagles are here and the Niners are here and everyone else is way over there. They sit at the little kids' table. The Cowboys and the Lions sit at the little kiddie table where they get the mac and cheese in the sippy cup and you get like the high chair and you got the galamat over here and you got the scongil, you got the pasta fazool. You know what I'm saying? You got the flounder here, the lobster stuffed, the artichokes. You got this over here, right? This is where the big people sit. And you got the little, you could order like Happy Meals with the toy in it. That's where the Cowboys and Lions sit. You drink from a big mug and a Vask. The Cowboys drink from a sippy cup. They drink from sippy cups. Huh? Good night. Hey, Gabba Barb, Gabba. We used to have such a great time making Gabba, me and my grandma. It was the craziest thing on the planet. So what we would do in the morning, we would get up, right? We would get brand new sheets, put them on my grandma's bed, put flour on the bed. We'd go over to the table, grind up the Gabba, put them in the powder, the flour, put them in there, roll them up, got to dry them out, drop them in the thing. Oh, on to me. How you doing? Oh, whew, Gabba were amazing. Oh, I love Gabba. Only my aunt and my grandma. My wife's not bad at them. Only my aunt and my grandma can make Gabba. Oh, yeah. Whew. Seafood over there, stuffed clams. My grandpa and I would go fishing. Crazy. I love this time of the year. Can you tell? All right. So, dude, you guys are in this. Hey, look. Hey, am I busting your stones when I think the Cowboys are going to beat you? Okay. Listen. Let me come front and center to you here. I'm going to tell you something between us. Prove it to me. Dallas. Don't say it too loud because I don't want any. Oh, Sileo saying we're going to lose it. Prove it to me. Dallas. Prove it to me. That you can beat Philly. Prove it to me. Right? Hey, prove it to yourselves. So would you consider bringing back Sue? No. Why? You're better against the run this year than you were a year ago. Okay? You still won't quit. Carl, it's the Italian in me. What do you want from me, guy? Okay? Prove it to me. Dallas hasn't proven shit in 28 years. Last time we swept them was 17. Something else happened that year, too. LJ, that really? The Eagles swept the Cowboys in 17? Oh, you'll destroy. Hey, if you beat Dallas on Sunday, Dallas will lose 3 more games. You could send them in a tailspin. You could send them in a tailspin. Okay? All right. Let me do this now. Do you want, hey, I get asked to do this shit for the NFL Network all the time. Do you want MVP odds or top quarterback? What do you want? Last time the Eagles swept Cowboys was with Vic. Oh, okay. Okay. Come on, LJ. I'm counting on you. Not that we're the news here. Quarterbacks. All right, let's do the quarterbacks. Hey, the last time we talked about the people, look at who you guys have beaten. Let's take a look at this. Rams, Bills, Cowboys, Chiefs, Dolphins. Who else with a 500 or winning record? Rams, Bills, Cowboys, Chiefs, Dolphins. Anybody else I'm missing? The Vikings. Do the Vikings have a 500 record? Jesus criminy. Do the Vikings have a 500 record? Do they have a 500 record? You didn't beat the Browns. Okay, check it out on what you've done this year versus Dallas. Rams, Bills, Cowboys, Chiefs, Dolphins, Vikings. The Cowboys have beaten one team that's 500 and no team over it. Prove it to me. Prove it to me that you can beat Philly. You should have heard Bayless on today trying to make a case that Dallas was better than you. And I'm like, where? Where's the case? Because they played close to you and you still dropped. The Eagles played a C-plus game and dropped a W on you. They can, I'm telling you, the Cowboys are thinking that you're going to play like you did against San Francisco. No way. Dallas thinks they're as good as San Francisco. Remember what Parsons said after the game? He goes like this, we're just as good as they are. And they got beat by 32. Not only do they have delusional fans, but they have delusional players and delusional front office people. You see what Jerry said about Shaq Leonard? He obviously thought that they give him a better opportunity. We're very happy with our guys. How could you be happy when your guys get killed by Arizona? See, the Arizona loss to me is the one loss that I look at with the Cowboys and go, dude, you got killed. You got killed. Here's the top 10 quarterbacks. Number 10, I got Stafford here. They're 6-6. They're healthy. Their offense is decent. I think that's a hell of a job of coaching this year by Sean McVay. He's the best coach in the NFC. Sean McVay is the best coach in the NFC. You know why? His resume says it. 2-time NFC champion. And you want to hear something? He's younger than Xander. And he's been coaching 9 years. This guy's 37 years old. He's 37. He's got 2 NFC titles and a Super Bowl championship. Hey, you could take all the Knicks wins. I'll take the titles. Hell of a job of coaching. Okay? Hell of a job of coaching. He's the best coach in the NFC. And anytime you hear anyone else say that Nick is better than him, on what standard and metric are you looking at? What standard? Number 9. Very creative. He is. I still got, look, I'm looking at the overall body of work for the year. I would say this, Trevor Lawrence, I'm going to put him at 9. Think he's had a really good year. Josh Allen's having a spectacular year. I got him 8. Jared Goff is 9-3. Got to give him kudos. I got him 7. Patrick Mahomes, I got 6th. I got Jalen Hurts 5th. I got Dak Prescott 4th. I've got CJ Stroud 3. Tagovailoa 2. And the number 1 quarterback in the NFL this year, heading into week 14, is Brock Purdy. 148 quarterback rating coming out of the game against the 49ers, and is on pace to do some remarkable things. Sue, Dak over Jalen is having a better year. He's having a better year. And here's to the point. And here's the MVP race. Right now, all odds have Brock Purdy as the MVP top candidate going into week 14. On pace for 45-12, 33 touchdowns. Somebody said in here Brock Purdy's a turnover machine. 33 TDs and 9 picks. He's a turnover machine? Well, what's your guy then? 70.2 QB completion percentage, 116 quarterback rating. Tied for second, MVP race, Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts. Dak is on pace for 45-82, 37 touchdowns and 9 picks, 70.1 completion percentage, 108.3 quarterback rating. Hurts, 42-43, 27 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. Most of those early. His completion percentage is falling. Was hanging around 68 for a while. It's now 66.5. Got to pick that up. 93.8 quarterback rating. The Hurts disrespect is crazy. Name any MVP candidate who was 10-2 with the worst defense in the league. I'll wait. You think 14 picks is a good and 66.5 completion, 93.8? He's Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy have outplayed him. Purdy's outplayed him. Now, you want to bring running stats into it? Start running the ball more with him. Mahomes has outplayed him. 44-30, 31-14. Remember, the MVP award is an individual award. It's not a team award. Nobody puts intangibles in the award. By the way, who's more important to his team, Hurts or Mahomes? Who's more important to his team? Oh, Purdy's odds, plus 300. Dak and Jalen, plus 350. It's close. Mahomes, plus 850. Look at that, how that number. Look who the top 3 guys are. The top 3 guys are pretty close. Fourth and further out, it's starting to show some distance. It's really coming down to this now for the final couple games here. Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, and Jalen Hurts. Because look at this. Mahomes is 850. Tua, 48-97, 39 touchdowns, 14 picks, 106. He's plus 850 along with Mahomes. Lamar's now up to plus 900. But these are not MVP. Lamar Jackson will not get my MVP vote. By the way, I voted for Coach of the Year, my friend Jed Fish. Congratulations. From the University of Arizona. You got my Eddie Robinson vote for the NFL, or excuse me, for the college football Coach of the Year. I had him, the guy from SMU, and I put Saban third. I voted Nick Saban third. He is really carrying his team. Dak and Purdy have top 5 defenses. Mahomes has top 5 defense. What? So, wait a minute. He had a top 5 defense last year. You said the stats don't matter. No, not for me, Gary. These aren't my odds. Gary, no. You know what? Very nicely done, Gary. Hold on here. You beat Mahomes. You beat Tua. You beat Dak. You beat Allen. Shit, you beat Howell. You beat a really hot Kirk Cousins. I think Jalen Hurts has done enough for the MVP award. But it won't play out that way. You know it and I know it. These aren't my odds. Let me have the MVP award, Jalen, to bring the Super Bowl home. That's the only one that matters. Famous words of Tom Brady. Death row. The MVP award is not a postseason award. It's a regular season award. And it's a collateral award that's given out for good play. You should want your guy to win it. What, you didn't want Bryce Harper or Joel Embiid to win the MVP in the NBA and Major League Baseball? Why wouldn't you? I would. If I was a fan of the Phillies or the Sixers, I would want my guy to be celebrated as the best player in the game. Why wouldn't you want that for your city? You got the best player, one of the top teams, and you got a guy who's revered. Why wouldn't you want that? No shit you want the Super Bowl. Of course. That's actually a cop-out. It's actually a cop-out. Well, I don't want him to win it. I don't care. It's dumb. Yes, you do. It's a voted award that nobody cares about, says JoJo. Really? Then why is it in a player's contract if you win the MVP award, you get $5 million as a bonus? Why is sacks and Defensive Player of the Year awards? You know what's crazy? I hadn't really plugged that in. You guys say that Jalen Hurts doesn't give a shit about winning the MVP. Well, I can promise you there's a clause in his contract, like there is in every NFL player's contract. If you're the Offensive Player of the Year, you get $500,000. If you're the Defensive Player of the Year, you get $500,000. Do you know some guys get, I would say that Hassan Reddick probably gets paid $10,000 a sack. Maybe more. If it didn't matter, why do players have all those incentives in their contracts? I thought it didn't matter. You have team bonuses also. Top 5 offense. Top 5 in TD passes. Those are all incentives that you have. You play 75% of your plays. You get an additional $2 million. You guys are crazy if you think this doesn't matter. It matters more financially than the stupid trophy. The trophy, you can keep it. Give me the $5 million. Did you not know that those things were in contracts? That Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year? Jalen Carter probably has $1 million incentive if he's the Defensive Rookie of the Year. But you guys are over here saying, he don't want it, he wants a Super Bowl. Really? Okay. Yeah, I doubt that. I'm not saying he doesn't want the Super Bowl. But don't speak for people and other people's money. Well, he don't want that. It's unimportant to Jalen. Well, I'll tell you, his agent, Nicole Lynn, probably is telling him, dude, you're right in this thing. You may get a $5 million bonus here for winning the MVP, which she gets $500,000 of it. I don't care. He doesn't really care about it. Oh, and get this. You get paid less in the postseason. You don't get your same paycheck in the postseason. You know that, right? You make less money in the postseason. Now, they may have incentives in there if you get a team to the first round and you win a first-round game. They may add more money to you. Do you understand? There's like if you win the Super Bowl, there's a paycheck you get for winning the Super Bowl. That's not part of your contract. The league pays you that. The team doesn't pay you in the postseason. That's why When you guys go to buy tickets at Lincoln Financial, the Eagles don't sell you those. That's NFL league run. What do you think the Eagles are paying him if he makes it to the postseason? They're not paying him. The league pays him through the TV contracts. Pretty deserves MVP more than Christian McCaffrey. Man, I don't know. Do coaches get these type of bonuses too? Yes, LJ. Like if Nick gets a team to the NFC title, Nick will get a bonus of probably $500,000. Here, LJ, and to Xander's boy, get this. Nick Saban makes $11 million a year, right? If now that Nick Saban's made it to the playoff, you can Google this. Nick Saban will get $250,000 because his team made it to the college football playoff. If Nick Saban wins that game against Michigan, he'll get an additional $1 million. He'll get an additional $1 million for getting to the national title game. And if he wins that, Nick Saban will make an additional $1.5 million. So when people are looking at these coaches and you see guys like Mike Norvell moaning about not making it to the Final Four, you have to wonder what the motive is. Mike Norvell benefits from that more than any kid in that building at FSU. Okay? Nick Saban will make, look at this. If Nick wins the national title, $250,000, $500,000, an additional $1 million for getting to the national title game. That's 1.7. And if he wins it, it's another 1.5. Nick Saban, in theory, will make $3.2 million extra on his $11 million if he wins a national title. All about the kids. It's all about the kids. Difference is the school pays them. And the boosters pay him. And he goes to get, and he's going to get ready. Roll Tide, baby. Hey, how would you like to be Michigan and Alabama makes it? You don't think Michigan, if you really wanted to rig it more, you put FSU in there so Michigan can roll FSU. You put Bama in there instead. Dude, they hate Michigan more than Bama and Georgia. Because you would have put Georgia or Bama in there. The committee thought the team that was best set up to beat Michigan was Alabama. That Milroe kid looks like Jalen Hurts out there playing. Think about that. If you really wanted Michigan to win the national title, you put FSU's ass in there. You don't put Alabama in there. Alabama's playing 2 national title games. Washington and Texas. I think Texas is favored by 6. Great. It's a pick'em game. How can the semifinal game be a pick'em game? Michigan's playing a harder game. Enter the number 1 seed. Oh, yeah, that worked out well. If I was Jim Harbaugh, I'd be like, wait a minute. We're the number 1 seed, and why am I playing the tougher semifinal game? Just beat a team that won 29 in a row and destroyed teams 26 of those 29, and now I got to play Bama. Okay, great. Hey, I got to play Bama. Give me FSU. Hey, if I was Michigan, I would be screaming, put FSU in. You should have been politicianing for FSU if you were Michigan. People are like, well, I want to play the toughest. Dumb. I want to play the least amount of resistance to win the title. Because all kinds of bullshit happens on the way to the championship. Trust me when I tell you. I want to play the tougher team to show that I'm the. No, I don't. You sound like an idiot. Yeah, I'd rather run through fire than be able to have a fire hose to put the fire out and walk through the clean fire. No, I want to be on fire. Get the hell out of here. Seals for D. Did you guys not know that all those like incentives were in those contracts like that? Seals for DC with the stipulation you split with you split with the chat. I don't know. Could I do that? Probably. I don't know, man. Just as long as I'm not paid like I used to be at Clear Channel and gift cards. Hey, I got a bunch of gift cards for you. For what? Oh, you do these live reads. No, I don't do anything for gift cards. Gift cards? What? I had actually had a sales guy one time come to me at iHeart. It was called Clear Channel. I used to call it Cheap Channel. Guy comes in there, he goes, I got $2,500 in gift cards for you. Great, thanks. Yeah, but you got to do 2 live reads on your show every day. I go, no. Give me the money. The guy's like this. Well, no, I have gift cards. I go, yeah, I'm sure. What are you making on it? And he goes like this. Well, yeah. So you're going to give me gift cards and you're making money on it. He goes, yeah. I go, don't ever bring me something dumb like that again, or I'll never do anything for you ever again. And the guy ran to the boss. He came walking in. He goes, hey, we're sorry. I mean, yeah, the guy wants to pay me in pencils and he's making $5,000 a month. You want to pay me in pencils? I was like, that ain't happening. Yeah. Hey, here's some number 2 pencils. What are you getting? $5,000. I'm like the Rocky movie, Shrewd. Shrewd. Like, what's he get? He gets $3,500. What do you get? The robe, Shrewd. Oh, man. Absolutely. We're going to also take a look at week 14 of the NFL Heisman race. God, there's so much stuff to hit on still. We're going to look at the Cowboys 2023 and how to attack that football team on Sunday. And I'll tell you my total opinion on them and where I think they are in the landscape of things. So, hey, by the way, bottom of the hour, Rick Gosselin. We're going to talk to him. He covers the Dallas Cowboys for the Dallas Morning News, also for Talk of Fame Network. He's a Hall of Fame voter. I want you to do me a favor and tell him that's right. Thank you, Xander. Philly 500. CTE's kicking in. Philly 500 is at the bottom of the hour. Rick is at 5:30. That's correct. He's Central Time. Holy, but on to me. Whew. Hey, don't put me in front of an airplane. And don't ask me how to fly it. So Philly 500 is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Rick Gosselin will join us at 5:30 Eastern Time. So you get a chance to talk to Rick, and he covers the Dallas Cowboys for the Dallas Morning News. That'll be at 5:30. Philly 500 will join us at 4:30 Eastern Time. So we'll do that. Our good friends at Hooters, my friends, do me a favor. Go to northeasthooters.com during this holiday time. They got Santa Bucks there for you. They are back. Great stocking stuffers. You will absolutely love them. $5. Some of the best things that you can do. They've been doing stocking stuffers and these Santa Bucks forever, man. Go to Hooters.com and go to Hooters.com for you to be able to go in, order food, take it back to your place if you don't want to go in. Lunch specials Monday through Friday, 11:30 to 3. Boneless wings. The Military Mondays, 20% off. Wing Wednesdays, 1983. That is the year that the place was found. Kids eat for free on Saturday. Northeasthooters.com. That's northeasthooters.com. And do me a favor when you roll in, tell them Big Sills sent you.
Football Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
Any professional sports coach will tell you there's no substitution for preparation. At Malamut & Associates, that is a tenet by which we live. We prepare from day one for victory. Anything less is not acceptable.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their fantasy pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Seth Joyner has an ass with Darius Slay like I did. I think Darius Slay is an overrated player. And it's hard to say that because I think he's benefited from being in a really soft system. And he's been a really good Eagle in a soft system. They have he was cut in Detroit because of the deficiencies, and San Francisco exposed him. Wait, not so much him, but the scheme. That's probably fair because he wasn't horrible in that game. The scheme was. Seth Joyner's on my Twitter now, and what Angelo said, and he liked it, and he retweeted it. Seth Joyner believes that the front office is so involved in the game plan because that's exactly what Angelo Cataldi said yesterday, and Seth agreed. Seth Joyner thinks that defensive coordinator and the offensive coordinator are exactly what I say. That's at Dan Sileo show. You can go take a look at it. Okay? Go take a look at it. And Seth retweeted it and he's like, you're right. He was traded for. He was. Okay, not cut. But he was, because he was in a press cover corner in Detroit. And when he got to Philadelphia, they had him play center field. They paid him $15 million a year to play center field. It's not really a corner because they're not asking you to do anything. Do you think really being a corner is playing 15 yards off the ball and allowing guys to have 78% completion percentage in a game? And get this, you don't have to be on Slay because those stats don't count against them. But how can you be the worst pass defense in the league and have two corners making $14 and $12 million a year? How can that be? Do you know you probably have the two highest paid corners in the league? Are you getting your return on investment? You spend more money on the cornerback position than you do at any place on your defense. And you're the worst in the league at it. Ask yourself that. Ask yourself it. They have a report out that Nick is interfering with Brian Johnson's play calling. Here we go again. Absolutely, he's interfering. Because you know why? Death row. Nick takes his marching orders from Howie. They did the same shit to Doug. History's repeating itself. Like Angelo said yesterday, your coordinators are not really bad. You know, we're taking shots at them. They're being told what to do. Why don't we run the ball? Because that's not what the Eagles want to do. Or excuse me, that's not what Howie, Jeffrey want the team to do. They want to save Jalen. They don't want him hurt. They'd rather lose some games, have him for the postseason. Totally a philosophy. You see it. You know what? You guys, if you remember right, LJ, some of you in here that have been following me since day one against New England, remember my first observation in that game. Remember what I said? Man, you see Jalen Hurts sliding prior to getting hit like 2-3 times? I said that's something to keep an eye on. Sure enough, the whole year, man, he played tentative. So if your quarterback's playing tentative in the run game, they don't really want him to run, and they're trying to get away from all the RPOs. How many, hey, LJ, how many carries did Slay get in that game on Sunday? 6? Matt, remember I was like, you know, and everyone was like, oh, you're crazy. It was just something. And I'm like, man, it played out the whole year that way. I think it was fundamentally told to him, we're going to take the RPO out of the game. They took the number one thing that made the Eagle offense a year ago feared by every team in the league. Look at the Niners are a good defense. Did the Niners play like that last year in the NFC title game? Right? The Niners defense didn't look like that. And they had Hufanga. And they had guys. Okay? You're telling me they're better now? No. They took the RPO out. You turn those linebackers into headhunters. And that defense was flying to the ball. They didn't fear the RPO. Maybe it's a conspiracy across the league. To do what? Not to have Jalen hurt? Hey, by the way, it's not a conspiracy. I saw a play over the weekend where a quarterback was running out of bounds. Jalen Hurts got hit out of bounds, and I thought they'd call the penalty. I could promise you this, if that was Joe Burrow, they would have, if that was Brock Purdy, they would have flagged him. Do you remember that play? He was running out of bounds and they lit him up. I was like, you should call that play. To be fair, I knew immediately they weren't going to do it. You guys remember that play? He was going out of bounds and they knocked his ass out of bounds. And I was like, man, they didn't call that? I was like, wait, if that's Brock Purdy, they call that play. They don't ref that kid like they do the other quarterbacks. Right? No, with these corners. Okay. Remember that play, Greg? I was like, that's a flag. No. In today's NFL, where you're seeing all these backup quarterbacks now getting starts, the league doesn't like that in Park Avenue. They don't want you think the league likes Joe Burrow and Kirk Cousins and all these other guys out heading into the playoffs? Absolutely not. They're holding their collective breath on Trevor Lawrence. You think they want backups? Dude, nobody wants to see Case Keenum versus Nick Foles in a playoff game or an NFC championship game. No one wants that. So Seth Joyner agrees. The front office is at it again. They're at it again. So at the end of the day, friends, it really doesn't matter who your coordinator is. They're going to get in the way anyway. Hey, let me say this to you. I think Shane Steichen looks better now than he did a year ago as a play caller. I think Jonathan Gannon looks better. Arizona wins some games. They destroyed the Cowboys. He actually looks better. I don't know. I'm just saying. How come every coach that leaves Philly is better when they leave? Did you ask yourself that? Even dumbass Chip at UCLA. Every coach that's been fired in Philly is better at his second stop. I mean, it's no coincidence. Dude, your play calling is the front office's problem. Hallaby, Roseman, Laurie, I'm going to ask Frank Reich that tonight. I'm going to ask him right now. Frank. Holy cow. Seth responded. I'm going to ask Frank right now. Frank Reich. Here we go. How much input does Hallaby have in the game plan? Okay, just so you know, just sent it. No one ever brings up Schwartz retiring because of the Doug fiasco, and he was the number one defense, and he has the number one defense in the league. By coincidence? Obama phone. From the Eagles. Oh. Gee, from the Eagles. Yes, partner. Maybe he responds right in front of him. Whoa. We got to have a little bit of news here. I hear you, Sills, but Howie isn't the one calling double screens. Yeah, who is it? Is it Nick? I off record. Damn! How about if I ask him if the Eagles have are you going to sit out the rest of the year? Or have Philly asked you to join them? Are you going to sit out the rest of the year? Or has Philly asked you to be a consultant? I'm going to get Frank on. As a general rule, the analytics guys give the coaches analytical information. Then the coaches do the actual game plan. And at least that's the way I know it's done there. Frank was asked by the Eagles to be a consultant. He's sitting out. I'm going to tell him I got to get you on the show. I've known this man 45 years. I just told him how much I loved him. I love that guy. Man, got to get him on the show. Okay, here's how, but I don't want to be quoted as saying what I'm telling you. He wants to stay low. Okay. So, the way that it's done in Philly, the analytics guy, according to my sources, okay, put all the information together, then the coaches put the game plan together. It's a loaded deck. It's a loaded deck. It's like putting this out there. Here's 20 names that you could pick your coaches that they've cleared. It's like the NFL drug policy. The NFL has 250 vitamins for players to choose from. But the league picked the 250. Okay? So you get to pick from their pool. So when you're putting your game plan together, the Eagle front office is telling you not to run the ball. The analytics guys are telling you not to run the ball. Wow. No wonder Doug had an ass. So the coaches don't put their own information together. In Philadelphia, the analytics guys do. It's not Sean Desai, and it's not Brian Johnson. That is clear. from people who were on that Super Bowl staff. You're welcome. Sounds like the analytics guys give the info and the coaches make the game plan. Doesn't sound like they are told to do that. Dude, if you think that you're going to go against Howie Roseman in the front office of the Philadelphia Eagles and what the information that they give you and spend time building and helping you build your game plan around you, you're going to go off the reservation. That's why Doug Peterson's in Jacksonville. Analytics say that there is a 45% chance of success on the pass and 30% chance on success on run, so they decide to throw it 50 times a game. Yeah. Or not in critical moments to run something. You see, that tush-push play is the only thing that they don't do analytically. Nobody runs in their right mind would run a 4th and 3. That nobody would run. Nobody on the planet would run that. I love Frank. Jesus Christ. That front office, man. Woo! They knee deep in that game plan on Sundays. It's not Brian Johnson. I've been wrong to slam him. I'm sorry. That I can't tell you guys that one. I can't do that one. Man. Seals, do you think they push the chips all in and they bring – I do. Hey, big rhythm, that's what I would do. But you see, does an analytical guy see that and know that? What's his experience on being a coach? So we were basically just given the intel that the analytics guys give the coaches all the information on every single game so that the coaches can put a game plan together. They give you all the information to put. It's crazy. Let's bring our boy Philly 500 in.
Magnum PI over here. What's going on, Sills? You were doing some investigative reporting?
Well, I wanted to know how Frank dealt with the analytics inside the Eagle organization. And he said, basically, they give the coaches the intel on all the information, and the coaches put the game plan together off the information they get. It's so the coaches don't put their own information together. You're basically dealing with a whole separate coaching staff.
Well, that would explain why it's the same thing every week. I think that would explain a lot, actually, why the game plan seems to be the same thing. Come out, throw, and then try to run in the second half. It makes sense. Sounds about right.
Man. All right, we'll get to that here in a couple minutes. Takeaways from the 49ers.
Oh man, what a beating! It was a beating. They beat us all phases of the game. What bothered me more about that game, to be honest with you, it wasn't even that we lost, or it wasn't the X's and O's. I feel like the Eagles were not mentally ready for that game. I don't feel like they were intense coming into that game. Maybe it's fatigue, like you said, but the 49ers, they come to the stadium dressed in all black, right? They came dressed in all black for a funeral. It's kind of like reminding me of you and your Hurricanes getting off the plane in army fatigue, right? So that's to me a statement. Then in warm-ups, they're bothering James Bradbury. None of the Eagle players are looking at this, even going up and helping him or helping him out. And it was like they came in and bullied. I feel like the Eagles were not did not understand the way the 49ers were looking at this game. And I don't think mentally we even went into that game with the same feeling that the 49ers did. That bothered me more than anything about this game.
I said all week that you had no shot to win. And the only reason I said that was because of the amount of high quality teams and games and comebacks that you guys have been playing in. And when you saw even Kelsey with 2 illegal procedures, then you saw the way he got killed. Javon Hargrave killed him. And it just look, they had the first 8:19 of that game. I was doing this, Philly. Holy shit. Flying around. They had 8 minutes worth of football in them. And after that, it was a 50.
Yeah.
That game was not competitive after 8:19.
Yeah, I mean, you very well could be right. I mean, it could be they were just really tired. I get it. I totally get it. But I did not feel, and even when we were up 6-0, I was saying during my stream, I was saying, I don't know, this defense, they don't look juiced up to me. Like the feel I was getting, like they were just kind of going through the motions. And I was literally saying that it was 6-0, and then that's exactly what happened. I feel like the Eagles. Well, I feel like they woke up. I feel like they woke up and realized they were in a fight when they cheap shotted Devontae Smith. When he hit Devontae Smith out of bounds, and then Big Dom got involved. I feel like that was the point the Eagles were like, "Oh, all right, it's like that," But it was a little too late by then. But that's what I felt. I think Big Dom was our MVP.
I would say this to you. You look what the national media is doing to Big Dom. I think now I did hear something that he was jawing with Greenlaw prior to the game, and it kind of carried over. So trust me when I tell you, Philly 500, when I see the Goomba Italian flag on his deal, I see the guy in the all black. I don't know, man. Big Sills, Big Dom, Big Philly 500. I kind of like it.
I did too. I can't help it. I like the guy, but I don't feel like from a standpoint of like being intense or taking it as a playoff game or taking it the way I said this in my video. I thought that the Eagles came in to play a football game and the Niners came in for war. And I thought that they pushed them. I mean, they were pushing them around. They pushed Jalen Hurts out of bounds. Nobody went up and stood up for Jalen Hurts. They just looked like they were going through. And it was like when Devontae got cheap shot, it was like they all it seemed like they came alive a little bit. And then the defense went back out there and they couldn't stop anything. So at that point, it was over.
Do you think the Eagles were exposed? Or this is a one of?
I think it's more of a one of. Now, I'm not saying that the 49ers would have won the game, and I'm not saying that in the future they can't win the game, but I don't think that the Eagles – I don't think it'll be like that next time. I think the Eagles will take this game a lot differently.
What was the most surprising thing for you that came out of that Sunday game?
The bullying. I just don't expect the Eagles ever to be bullied at home. And then besides that, on the field, 6 straight possessions that they score touchdowns. First time since 1954. I mean, I can't remember a game. I wasn't alive in 1954. I don't remember ever seeing that where it was just like, and you knew the Niners were going to score a touchdown. It wasn't even a thought in your mind that they would stop them. That was bad.
Why was Nick Sirianni, when it was 42 to, what was it, 42-14 or something? Jalen Hurts is still in the ball game. He's still in the ball game, and you have him there in the ball game at 5:19.
Yeah.
Why are it just seemed, didn't the coaches and everything just seem out of whack in that game?
All out of
Nothing
whack.
really was working, right?
Yeah, it just, the whole week was weird to me because you had this team talking a bunch of crap, and I took it. I was taking it personal, but then you got AJ Brown going, "Oh, Debo's a nice guy. He don't really mean it," And I'm like, why would he say that? Like that was my thought process, and then just the whole game, how they kind of carried themselves, the play calls on the field. You're right. As soon as Jalen Hurts came back and went back in, and it was clear the concussion, I was like, you got to get him back out. Why is he even in there? He almost had a concussion. You almost lost him for the Cowboys game. You're not winning without him. And then DeAndre Swift takes a shot with 2 minutes left in the game. Like I don't know what they were thinking, to be honest with you. I don't get it. And I haven't even heard really anybody ask good questions about this kind of stuff. I feel like there's just a bunch of softball questions going on. Nothing that I even care about knowing. All the things I really want to know, we have to ask Frank Reich about. I don't know because I'm not getting it from them.
Dude, when I just found this out, how you guys do business. So here again, here's the information I want you to use for the game on Sunday. Is that coaching?
Right. No. Oh, I think it takes away a coach's feel for the game by doing that. What, a coach is not going to go look at the tape of San Francisco and look at what they do.
By the way, I don't think this is just isolated to Philly. I think these analytic guys are doing this across the league.
Yeah, I think it's hurting the league in general. I mean, like,
that's why scoring's down.
Yeah. Even if you watch the, like in game, like they go to their charts for the analytics. So this is down that you don't kick a field goal, you kick it here, or you go for here. To me, it makes no sense. Like you've got to have a feel for a game for how the momentum's going. Like sometimes I could be like, why are they need to kick a field goal here? They're not going to get it, and you just know. I think it's completely taken that out of the game. I have no issue with analytics if it's only like a part of what the coaches use, but when it's everything, it's bad. And let me tell you, I think analytics has killed us in some of these draft picks over the years too, because they were using that to draft guys like Jalen Reagor.
Let me say this to you. Isn't it ironic that John Lynch, the positions that he covets, running back and linebackers and safeties, were the one issue that Howie doesn't and his analytical team value. And those guys were completely, without a doubt. By the way, the one thing that they did to Greenlaw, and while he was in there, and Fred Warner, they completely abandoned the RPO, which froze those backers a year ago, and you made that defense even faster.
Right. Yeah. I don't get it. I mean, during the broadcast, they were saying, every first down, the Niners are expecting the pass, going back for playing the pass. And every first down, the Eagles were going to throw it. And it's like, I don't know. It just makes no sense to me at this point. I don't know. It's like, the Eagles are going to come out throwing, and then they're going to try to run in the second half. That's the game plan every week. Doesn't matter who they're playing. It's always what they do. Always.
Did that beating throw cold water on the Dallas week?
I think it makes the Dallas week more important. I think I don't feel that.
But you don't sound as confident.
Well, we're talking about the 49ers game. We're not talking about the Dallas game yet.
Oh, no, okay.
You're living history.
You see, my problem with Dallas is if you're thinking that you are the same team as that team in the Bay Area,
Right.
you're out of your mind.
I agree. I agree. It's not the same team. And the great thing about the Cowboys is they have a beautiful history of believing their own hype. And now that they've had 10 days off to hear how great they are, I expect the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to go in there and beat them. I do. And I think it'll be a close game, a good game, but I don't think they're the same team. And my hope is that this kind of allows the Eagles to finally make some adjustments that maybe some of these coordinators probably have wanted to make for a while. So I hope that's the case, but I don't think we're losing 2 games in a row.
How about this? And this is what the funny and maybe ironic thing is with how the Cowboys think they have you guys in a down thing. And I went like this. I mean, would you agree with me, Philly, that the Eagles probably played a C+, B- game against Dallas?
Yeah. They played one good quarter.
And Dallas played an
quarter.
A+ game and still lost, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe a C+ game that the Eagles. So if you're Dallas, you're hoping that the Eagles play a D- game for you to beat them. That's not really a game plan.
They think they're the 49ers. That's the thing. They think they're just as good as the 49ers. They seem to forget the beating they took to the 49ers as well. Seattle should have beat them.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
If
Seattle put 30 on them and Geno Smith almost had a perfect quarterback rating.
Lockett dropped the ball late in the fourth quarter. That would have been first down to the third. That game was over, and he dropped it. So, they weren't super impressive. I think their defense is easily you're able to score them. We've done pretty well against Parsons in the past. If the Eagles make the proper adjustments, I think they could go in there and beat them. Jalen Hurts doesn't really usually lose 2 games in a row. However, I think the one thing that we could say is if the Eagles' defense is that bad, and I know that the Dallas Cowboys are going to move the ball, I know they're going to score points on us, then look at all the games we've won, going into Kansas City, playing Miami, playing Buffalo. How is Jalen Hurts not the MVP when he doesn't have any defense to help him? He's literally carrying us on his own.
He's not even in the
race. He's not in a race. Right. But if Dak Prescott loses by 14 points and throws 2 touchdowns, they'll tell you what a great losing performance it was. It's such a joke to me.
Here. Let me give you the exact numbers here. Here are the guys that are the leading candidates right now for the most valuable player award in National Football League. And to your point, he's beaten Dak and he's beaten Mahomes. He's beaten Tua. Tyreek Hill's on this list. They shut his ass down. And so here, Brock Purdy is plus 300. He is the number 1 along with Dak. He's back. How is that possible?
I don't know.
You stub your toe one time. Like you said, if you guys go on a 3-game losing streak, I'm with you. I'm going to go, hey, okay, the picks and turnovers, it's just not meant to be this year. But you guys had 8. You're 10-2.
10-2. You'd think we're 2-10 by the way they talk. And these media guys, every week it's the same thing. Well, the Eagles don't do this, and the Eagles are that, and this. And then every week they're wrong, and then they get 1 week they're right. And it's like, see, we told you all along. It's all a bunch of garbage, as my dad would say.
Dakota Prescott.
I saw that game. I couldn't believe it. I watched Jalen Hurts in the second quarter on the ground, dragging himself across the field, trying to get off, limping. Comes in the third quarter, carries the team. Then Dak Prescott, 3 times inside the 10, can't score touchdown. In a losing performance, Dak Prescott looks like an MVP candidate. Did I just hear what they said? Like, there's no way this is possible. That's some satanic black magic voodoo that they're putting out there, those Satan lovers in Dallas.
You think they beat them in Dallas?
I think it's a tough game. We haven't done well against them in a while in Dallas, but at the same time, I just don't know. It's the way the Eagles lost and the way that they played. It's
But it's the
very hard
Niners,
for
dude. You're not going to run into a team
no.
like that until the NFC title game.
No, I agree with you, but in the Eagles' mind and the way and the pride that that team has, I don't think that they feel they played a good game at all, and I don't feel that they're going to come in to the Cowboys game, and I just think they're going to take it to another level, because that was an embarrassing loss. It was humiliating, whether the 49ers are just the best team right now or not. The Eagles. I'm telling you, they were not in the same mindset as the 49ers going in that game, Sills. They
I
were
got to
not.
tell you something, man. I was so wrong about one guy. This kid, Devontae Smith. Hey, by the way, I'm going to say something so positive about him in a minute, but I want to say one thing about that Ayuk kid.
Mm-hmm.
That kid Ayuk, you think CeeDee Lamb's better than him?
No. If we're being honest, no.
That kid is some ball player. I mean,
he's a hell of a player.
He might be a little bit, maybe, okay? But that kid, he might be the best two in the league.
Yeah, he's good.
Now, Waddle and Tyreek down in Miami is probably the kid up in Seattle along next to DK. Those guys are good too. But, dude, Ayuk's, he shocked me how good he is.
Yeah, he's good. He's very talented. I remember a few years, his rookie year, he jumped over one of our players. I said, man, this kid's gonna be good. I like him. But they got a lot of weapons. But I mean, Dallas puts CeeDee Lamb in a slot, and it's pretty much that's who they go to most of the time. They don't really have anybody else. Which I don't understand why the Eagles don't come up with a better game plan this time for CeeDee Lamb, but who knows? But Devontae Smith's a stud.
I don't mind him getting his yards.
No,
you can't have Brandon Cook and Michael Gallup going off, or that kid Ferguson. Because I'll tell you something. One thing you learned out of that game, boy, they struggled covering tight ends, Hoss. They had no answer
all
for
year.
Kittle. It was it was embarrassing.
I know it was. I really, I know the 49ers. The 49ers had that game circled. They were thinking about the game. They were talking the trash. And I can't blame Deebo Samuel. I don't care. You talk it and then you walk it. I'm okay with it. Like, that's fine. That's it. They backed it up. And I don't think they were on the same level going into that game when that game started. I don't think they took the game the same way. And I don't think they're going to get that embarrassed again. I think they're going to be pissed off. And I think that Dallas would have been better off the Eagles losing like 24-21. You know what I mean? Like a game like that. Not a game like this. So I think the Eagles are going to win. But I think it's going to be a close game.
I want everyone to know. I don't think Ayuk is better than Devontae. I just think this kid.
Oh, Devontae Smith was one of the guys.
I think he's better than CD.
Yeah, I agree with you. And
I said he's better than. But I'll tell you something about Devontae. For a frail built guy, looking at least, when when Xander, first question he asked me when I came to work at JAKIB, what'd you make it a pick? I go, he's a schwimp. I go, the guy's a schwimp. Right. He's a finesse receiver. That guy's not a finesse receiver. No. He catches footballs in tough places. He's got phenomenal hands. He runs exceptional routes. I'll tell you something, man. He's a really good player, and he's a tough player for the way in his stature, the way he's built.
I agree. And everybody said he wouldn't last. He hasn't missed a game yet. That's why he's probably my favorite player on the team, because he's counted out from the beginning. But I like him a lot.
Last one here for you. What about James Trashberry and Paper Mache Slay? Are you concerned about them going into the game?
I'm always concerned about the secondary going in. It's not just them. It's the whole secondary. I'm concerned about, because if you're rushing 4 and not getting pressure, and then every once in a while you maybe rush 5 and you're not getting pressure, like you've got to do more than that. Like, I never understand when a guy like Purdy's in a half and he's 12 of 15 or something like that. Like, at what point do you say, we got to get this guy out of rhythm? We've got to do something. If you let Dak Prescott sit in the pocket and take those easy passes underneath, he's going to eat you up all day. And it's just going to be the same thing. So, yeah, I'm very worried about that.
Give me a score, though. Give me a score for this Cowboy game. That you're obviously going to wait till the end of the week, but kind of where you're around.
I'm somewhere around 34-31, 34-30, 30-27. I think it's on the higher scoring side because I think both defenses won't be able to stop the offense. And I think it'll come down to who makes the mistake in the fourth quarter.
I'm with you, man. I think this thing, look, get this, your second game in a row, you're underdogs. You know that.
Yeah.
You're now 3.5 point underdogs.
Yeah. And they need this Sills because they've got a 1-game lead. And I think that if there's one team that needs a bye week, it's us. The other teams are not nearly as banged up. This Eagles need that bye week. So if you can win this game, really, if you can win the next 2 games, you'll wind up with it because those final 3 games are easy. But this is the game that's tough because if Dallas wins, I'm not worried about the division. We'll still win the division, but you're going to give up that number 1 seed. So
I still think San Fran could drop that Ravens game.
That's the only one that is possible, but you never know. You never know. You never know, but best way to do it is just stay 1 game ahead of them. So just got to go beat Dallas.
The cow frauds. Dude, this is what I tell Dallas.
They just never go away.
Prove it. Look at this. Look at it. You got a chance here to do something you haven't done in 28 years. You know what that is? Win a big game.
Right.
This is one of the biggest games they've had in a long time.
Right. Well, I could tell you what, if they do pull this game off, that almost guarantees they lose in Buffalo because they will think that they're the greatest thing to slice bread, and they will end up giving us the division. That's what happened with last year. They go into Washington and got whooped. I hate this.
Hey, dude, I'm more worried about San Fran than I am Dallas. Shit, I'm more worried about Detroit than I am Dallas. Dallas is going to drop 2 more.
Yeah, they're going to drop 2 more.
They can't help themselves, even if they beat you.
Yeah, I agree that they're going to drop 2 more, but the problem is we're talking about being then the number 2 seed. That's I really feel like in my heart we got to have that 1 seed because we're just so banged up, and we need that rest. And it would have been nice to be San Francisco and get this thing locked up soon, but it didn't happen. So, San Francisco, look, they look really good right now. They look tough to beat. But, as you said the other day, it's December right now. It's not January. A lot of things can change, in a month. And listen, it is December. So this is when the Cowboys begin their choke season. So it's here and it's coming. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, this is the Cowboys preseason now. In December, they start playing preseason ball in December, and that's why they look like the team that they look like every year, and that's why they're playing golf in the Bahamas. Come February.
they had 10 days to listen to how great they are. And I guarantee you they've been listening to all of it since they beat Seattle.
We got them. We got Philly. Watch them get killed.
Yeah, it's going to be glorious. I'll have my broom ready. I'll tell you that.
Philly, thank you, my friend.
Thank you, my man. Take care.
You got it, my dear friend, Philly 500. Make sure you check him out on his great show that he does each and every single week. I really love the guy, and I so love having him on. All right, hit the like button. We're going to reset. We're going to look at Week 14. Rick Gosselin from the Dallas Morning News Talk of Fame Network is going to join us at 5:30 Eastern. Big matchup. Cowboys and Eagles. We'll listen to him and get his take on what he sees with this 2023 Dallas Cowboy team. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Yo.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
Any professional sports coach will tell you there's no substitution for preparation. At Malamut & Associates, that is a tenet by which we live. We prepare from day one for victory. Anything less is not acceptable.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their Fantasy Pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Man. I'm really disappointed in what I found out today, talking to Frank Reich and how you guys do business in your coaching staff. Eagles analytics team gives the coaching staff all the information to build the game plan around the information that they compile. Not that the coaching staff compiles, but that they compile. Howie's guys. This is exactly why Doug was fired. Right here. From the mouth of someone who gathered that information. Do you know how skilled you have to be as a coach to take analytical information and somehow manipulate that so that you don't come off where you're being counter to what they're putting out there for them not to come? This is why they're questioned. This is why Peterson and everybody was questioned, because they go off script. Dude, this is incredible. Big Sills has figured out your preparation for Sundays. Nobody in that city did, because nobody really had anybody in the building that would talk. And no one that was involved with winning the Super Bowl. There it is. Before it was just a theory. Now it's fact. Again, I want to be very clear here, though. I don't think that this is just a Philadelphia Eagle thing. I think this is a league thing. I think the league across the board, this is how they run it. This is why you see game plans. You question what's going on in Los Angeles with the Chargers. You have had, get this, think about this. You have to have is just a talented analytics team today in today's NFL as you do coaching staff. Now I understand why you have training wheel coaches as your coordinators every year in Philly. Because if you have an old school coach in there, he's going to go off script. The Eagles don't want any of that off script stuff. Do you understand it's the loaded deck of a game plan? Here, this is how your Sunday day is. Nick Sirianni gets the active roster on who's going to play. All the information that the analytics team gave you. So in theory, who built the game plan? The coaching staff, off the information that they were given. It's a loaded deck. Who had control of the roster? Technically the coach. But the names were given. That's a lot of involvement. Now I know why Doug is answering questions for wins on Monday morning when you beat someone 17-14. Do you know what they were questioning? Why didn't you follow the analytics that we gave you and told you? The game would have been easier. Those were the conversations that they were having with Doug Peterson. They don't have those conversations here. Because Nick's not going to fight back. Rocksteady goes, they don't know that for a fact. Really? They don't know that for a fact. You hear Rocksteady? These are the words of the offensive coordinator of your Super Bowl. But you don't know that. I didn't know that. No, you're right. I didn't. No, you're right. I didn't. Right. I had no idea. None. It was just theory that was told to me. Jalen Hurts is being coached by analytics instead of by coaches. Rick Gosselin, Dallas Morning News, will join us. Also, Talk of Fame Network, Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. You guys can make your case for Eric Allen at the bottom of the hour. You see, Stephen A. said the loss to the Niners delegitimized our ass as NFL NFC champions last year. Really? That's like saying us beating KC delegitimized their Super Bowl. Warrior. Well, here, why don't you just throw this then? Hey, Stephen A. Smith, you know that world championship that LeBron James won, the Disney Cup, where everybody was quarantined in Orlando? You should put an asterisk on that. Or the Dodgers that won the World Series? Put an asterisk on that. Didn't have to travel, didn't have to do anything. So that Disney World World Championship that the Lakers won, is that thing have an asterisk on it? You didn't have to travel. You stayed in one room. You stayed in one place. Not really you didn't really have to do all the traveling that you had to do. Right? I mean, that's stupid shit. Delegitimize the NFC title. Did you not watch that Super Bowl 57? I need to get back to old school defense. Dude, they're never going to get back to old school anything under this ownership. You are in a computer age. this football team is run by bean counters. Not just the Eagles. That's why scoring's down. You got more people crunching numbers. Dude, who's more important in the Eagle organization right now? The analytical guys or the head or the coaching staff? Seems to me that the analytic guys are. Because the same analytic guys have been there for 16 years. Right? You pretty much have the same analytical guys, different coaching staff. Mickey Mouse Trophy, LeBron won. He didn't win the Larry O'Brien. He won the Mickey Mouse Cup. Yeah, look at this. Here, look at this. Yes, on 3rd and 7, the Philadelphia Eagles should run jet sweeps here 15% of the time. And here's the intel. Make sure Nick gets this because this is what we don't want to do here in this situation. We want to make sure that we're running on this here. We're running block and release with our tight end. So make sure you get that to Nick. I'll sign off on it. Howie, please. Hey, Brian, we're going to put this in the offense. That's some game plan. I got these 5 plays that I got from the analytics guys. Keon goes, he never told you that. As a general rule, the analytics guys give the coaches the analytical information. The coaches take all the actual information, build the game plan around it. At least that's the way it was done when we won the Super Bowl. Nah, he told me something else off the record I can't say. I can't say why Doug was fired. There was a no. My friend of 45 years, I'm not going to do that. So I'm leaving that alone. What's the difference between analytics or watching tape like back in the day? It's all about gathering info. Yeah, but LJ, an analytics guy looking at a play versus a coach looking at a play. What does the analytics guy know about football versus a coach who put his time in as a wide receiver coach, maybe a player, Coach Jerry Rice? Maybe there's something different. And analytics doesn't go into a play or something you might want to run. It takes the complete feel of the game out when you got a bean counter telling you what plays to run. Who's putting your game plan together? The bean counters or the coaches? Doug lost last night, and you were destroyed Sunday. Actually, coach has a feel for the game for the right play. I haven't seen that all year. There are variables that a coach will know that analytics will not. Yeah, feel. That's the one thing that's been missing, a feel for the game. I'll tell you this one thing about Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy, they may have played dogs. Dak looks better. Dak looks better. He does. Prescott looks better. By the way, Rick Gosselin, Pro Football Hall of Fame voter, Dallas Morning News, author. You can make your case for Eric Allen. We're going to make our case for Eric Allen, so you guys can all too. He's the chairman of the Veterans Committee. He's the man that put Vermeil in. He's the man that put Harold Carmichael in. He's the chairman, and he's also a Hall of Fame voter for the regulars, too. Okay? Fair point, Seals. But if our analytics guys have been there 16 years, surely he's learned about. Yes, we watch your show for you. Oh, and listen, LJ. Yeah, that's fair too, LJ. Okay? But you undermine your coaches, don't you think? So when you're on the sideline, you see Jalen Hurts rolling his eyes at the offensive coordinator or a wide receiver coach. Now you know why. Did that come from Brian or did that come from the analytics guys? Do you know what I'm saying? You kind of undermine your staff with your players a little bit. Like when Kyle Shanahan's making a play call, that's coming from Kyle Shanahan because he gets to take the intel and the analytics. They have a big analytical team in San Francisco. But Kyle Shanahan, he's in control of it all, not Howie. Okay? Or not John Lynch. So he's going to combine it. I think McVay does the same thing. I think McVay takes the analytics and his play calling, and I think they balance it. I think there's an unbalance in the game plan preparation. Seth has been hitting on this. Okay? I think this is defensively and offensively. That's why you get this. You know what the analytic guy, this totally makes sense now. Do you know what the analytic guys are saying? It's better to die a slow death with zone coverage than with press coverage. We'd rather see if they make mistakes. That's an analytical thought process. It's not a game plan. It's a thought process that they're going to make a mistake. Analytic guys think they're going to make a mistake. Football coaches always go into the game assuming no turnovers, no one's making a mistake. We have to play our best ball. They don't look, analytic guys go, they'll make a mistake. They're not good at this 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4. That's the conflict. Okay. Who game planned not to tackle Debo all game? That's a talent issue. That's your analytical guys brought in. Like Julio Jones. Or drafting Nolan Smith. Or drafting Nakobe Dean. By the way, I don't think Jalen Carter was analytics. I think that was the only thing that they've done in the draft with guts. You had a guy that was involved in someone being killed. That's nothing analytics. Had nothing to do with analytics. The safe bet in that pick is probably to pick Paris Johnson. Man, a little disappointed. Little disappointed. Let's look at Dallas here. Let's move off this because it's infuriating, actually, if you think about it. You're holding your quarterback back. How many people look at Jalen Hurts this year and think he had a better year than a year ago? You think Hurts has had a better year than last year? You think Jalen's better this year? And you know what's crazy? He'll have bigger numbers and higher turnovers. If you notice, Keon will be the only person in here that will say Jalen had a better year. Everybody else with a common sense and a brain didn't, and he's not. Okay? I mean, look at the turnovers. And in a big game against San Francisco, he wasn't very good. Jalen hasn't been that hot in the last 3 weeks. He's been really great in moments, not for full games, because the coordinators are all over the place with him. Okay? He's uncomfortable in the pocket, correct. They don't run the RPOs any longer. Get this. So LJ goes, he looks more comfortable, more confident in the pocket, but the numbers are lower. I still think he struggles a little bit, LJ, in the blitzing and picking up blitzes. He is more comfortable in the pocket. Agreed. But I think the lack of a power running game has hurt them. It hurt him. Hurt him. Okay? Make your point, Sills. Before this season, turnovers didn't matter to you. What changed? I didn't say that the turnovers didn't matter to me. I say if you're going to throw that high volume of passes, the turnovers, if you have 15 turnovers and you're throwing the ball 600 times, 650, that number is going to double from what he did a year ago. But now what's happened is the completion percentage is coming down, and he's not completing it at a high clip any longer. If you look at his passing numbers, they've come down, and his completion percentage has come down. From 68.9, he's floating around 66 now. That's just been over the last month, and it's a slow progression of going the other way. So instead of completing 7.5 of every 10 footballs to receivers, you're coming down to 6 almost now. Okay, so you're not accurate. You're not as accurate. And with the inability to run the ball, when's the last time the Eagles had a dominant run game? Can you guys remember? When's the last time you had a dominant run game? When's the last time you guys had a dominant run game? No. I'm talking about a game this year in 23. When's the last time you had a dominant run football game? Week 2? Vikings game. Was that week 2 or 3? Week 3. Well, we're heading into week 14. You're heading into week 14. What happened? RPOs, you're not running the volume of RPOs that you did a year ago. So you're telling me you haven't had a big-time running game. Tampa and the Vikings. Let's just say that. Pay Jalen $50 million, make him throw 50 times a game. What are you saying? They're trying to get their money's worth in throws and attempts, right? Tampa, we put up 200. Okay, Tampa and the Vikings, right? That's kind of where you put all your rushing yards up. All right. Again, got to remember something about Dallas on Sunday. Dude, there's nobody in the NFC you got to worry about. Dallas. Don't let Dallas and their phony-ass record fool you. Dallas is not a physical team. Arizona pounded them. And they have James Conner. You know the guy from Terminator? They got some guy named Connor from Terminator. Sarah Connor. Sarah Connor. And the kid. The kid Sarah Connor. Terminator. Dallas is told. John Connor. There you go. They got John Connor in Arizona. Ran for. Was he active? I don't even know. I know that Arizona beat the shit out of them. Sarah Connor. You think Goddard's blocking is being missed? How about this one, LJ? Do you think that Goddard's blocking and his presence was a factor when he was out last year? I do. I think he's a big part of it. Okay? I think he's a big part of it. Dallas is going to run the table, Arthur. Dude, they couldn't run a dinner table. Hey, get this. They could win this game Sunday, and they'll drop Buffalo and then turn around and get beat by Detroit badly. That's who Dallas is. You guys are in a position right now where it's been a ton of fun. You remember that so-called gauntlet, and you're the gauntlet? Dude, that's got nothing to do with reality. The reality is when you play great teams every week, that's why the SEC is the greatest conference in college football. Dude, when I'm playing Alabama, get this. Think about this here, right? You're underestimating Dallas. They're streaky, but don't let them get hot. Here's the deal there, Xander. Here's why the SEC is the best. When I got to play Auburn, Georgia, LSU, A&M, Tennessee, Florida, I got to play them guys every week versus playing this. Iowa, Indiana, Purdue, Northwestern, or I got to play Wake Forest, Duke. What other shitty teams in that? When you're playing big-time teams, and here are the Cowboys, Giants, Panthers. Xander's saying they're streaky and they're hot. Giants, Panthers, Seahawks. And they've won those games. And here's the Eagles. Cowboys win. Chiefs, defending champs, win. Bills, decent defense. Niners, you're playing those 4 teams in a row? You don't think you're going to be beat up? And you don't think you've played high-level football? Dude, it's like being in a boxing match with Ali and then fighting some stiff. When your next fight, you fight him, you're like, this guy sucks. I'm going to kill him. The Dallas Cowboys are getting ready to get into the ring with one of the heavyweight champions in the world. Ravens, 49ers, Eagles, Chiefs because they're champs. Cowboys haven't been in that building and in that room 28 years. They're crowing about beating a 6-6 Seattle team and beating up on the Los Angeles and beating the New York teams. Oh. I beat the Jets. I beat the Giants twice. Beat the Panthers. So the Panthers fired their coach. Right? Hey, you're right. I don't prove it to me, Dallas. I can't wait to get Rick Gosselin on. He's going to join us here in a couple minutes. Just tell me, man. Skip Bayless is a hater. No, Skip Bayless is just trying to aggravate Eagle fans. That's all he's doing. Okay? Hey, Sills, how do you see 31 progressing? 31? Number 31? How do you see number 31? I'll say this to you. I got one question also. Where's Nolan Smith? Where's this guy, Nolan Smith? Some people thought he should have been a top 10 pick. I was like, really? Nolan Smith? Does he see the field? Oh, Bird played. I thought he got killed in the Niner game. Where's Nolan Smith? Has anyone seen Nolan Smith? You seen Nolan Smith? Analytics pick. I mean, at least Jordan Davis saw the field last year. Does this guy see the field? And if he does, has anyone spotted him? If the Jets had Aaron Rodgers, the Cowboys lose that game. Yes. Okay. Nolan's hanging out with Dean. Yeah. Hey, that's not a good place to be. Nolan, okay. Nolan's a tweener. Well, then find a spot for him. Figure a defense out for him then. Make a spot for him like they did Hugh Douglas. No, not time for milk carton. Not time for milk carton. Dude, 4-3, I'm giving that a chance. I'm giving 4-3 a chance. I'm giving 4-3 a shot. And I like the kid, actually. Actually, I like his attitude. I like the whole thing about him. I do it. I'm pulling for him. I want him to do well. But how do you cut Derek Barnett and not give him some of the reps? That's my question. So you feel that he is not ready to be on the field yet? What's the issue? Is it physical? Is he hurt? Is he another guy that he's just not ready and he's the 31st pick? Well, what's they're very silent on that. So Rocksteady goes, the 31st pick in the NFL draft is not ready to step on a field and have any kind of impact. Okay. Thank God for Jalen Carter. Because if it's not Jalen Carter, what guy had impact on your team this year from the draft? Actually, from the last, just interesting to see. Okay. I've been looking forward to this because I haven't talked to my good friend Rick Gosselin in a long time. And you can listen to him on Talk of Fame Network. He's also on the committee when it comes to the Veterans Committee for the Hall of Fame. He's also a Hall of Fame voter. And as you know, Jared Bell and Jason Cole, Howard Balzer, many of the Hall of Fame voters, they contact me with a list of 15 guys and ask me who I think I would pick. And I'm honored when you guys ask me my opinion. They don't go solely. They have a panel. Many of these guys have panels, and they ask me who I think is this and that. And these guys are the guardian of the place. And before we talk Cowboys and Eagles on Sunday with my friend Rick Gosselin, who joins us now, by the way, here on the National Football Show. Happy holidays to you, Rick.
And to you, Dan.
Eric Allen. I got to make a pitch for my friends in Philly. Eric Allen's chances, in your opinion, on being named to the Hall of Fame this year, or at least getting down to being seriously considered to getting into the Hall of Fame?
Oh, I hope we make the cut to 15. And I don't think it's a particularly strong class. I think it's fairly wide open for about maybe three or four spots. I think he's got a chance. It all depends on the discussion, but he needs to be discussed.
You think he was one of the more dominant players in his era, and the only thing that stops him is the Super Bowl ring?
Well, there's two things. 75% of everybody in the Hall of Fame, every player in the Hall of Fame, made all decade. And 64.8% won championships. And Eric didn't make all decade. He didn't win a championship. And that's, those are two big boxes that the voters like to see checked. But we put in Joe Klecko and Sam Mills, who had the same resume, a year ago. Klecko no all-decade, no championships. Mills, no all-decade, no championships. So maybe we're loosening the reins a little bit on those players.
Rick, do you think you guys being told that you have to, is there a certain number that you have to put in every year? Or is it, in your opinion, where, because baseball people don't put in a guy every year. Do you think you guys have to start getting to that point where you got to start not putting guys into the Hall of Fame? Or is there just such a logjam?
I mean, there's a logjam of people that need to be discussed. But yeah, if it got down to, right now we're putting in 5 modern era, 3 seniors and a contributor. That's 9. Back 20, 25 years ago, we were reducing the size of the class. There were like the 1 year Young guy, Steve Young got in, there were only 2 players that were in, like he and Marino. Now we seem to be putting everybody that comes into the room in. So yeah, I wouldn't mind if we were being a little more selective.
Rick, are you the chairman of the Veterans Committee?
No, there's 12 of us on the committee.
Okay,
I've been on the longest though.
Let me ask you this for that committee itself.
Sure.
How do you feel changing history when there were writers during the era of the 1950s and 40s and 30s and 20s or 60s, where voters and writers who were in that time didn't think a particular guy was a Hall of Famer, and yet for some reason, now again, race plays a factor. I totally think that that's a priority that you guys have to correct, but there's so many other variables in this. Are you comfortable changing history sometimes with a guy who was maybe overlooked, or maybe there was a metric somebody missed, or how do you rationalize that out with the writers, like say Paul Zimmerman back in the day versus today and yourself?
Well, a lot of times, a lot of these players didn't get into the room. If you didn't win a championship, it was tough to get in the room. And once you got in the room, generally you stayed in the room 9, 10, 12 years, however long it took. I was in a meeting in Canton, a number of years back, and Dan Rooney, asked me what the problem with the system was. And I said, Dan, you're a big part of the problem. I said, for 12 years, we looked at Lynn Swann and John Stallworth. We hashed over both of those for 12 years before we finally put them in. That's 24 spots. We couldn't discuss anybody else while we kept bringing Swann and Stallworth back. And a lot of these guys, if they don't get in, they're in back the next year. And that limits the number of open spaces that a player can qualify. I think there are a lot of Hall of Fame players in the senior pool. I've got, I think, 68 all-decade players in the senior pool. There's a lot of great players that are MVPs or Defensive Players of the Year. There's a lot of great players that didn't get in for whatever reason that need to be discussed, that never have been discussed. My pet peeve is Maxie Baughan. Maxie Baughan goes to 9 Pro Bowls in the 1960 decade. He went to the Pro Bowl as a rookie when he started on the NFL champion Eagles. He went to the 4 all-decade linebackers in the 60s, went to a combined 12 Pro Bowls. He went to 9 himself. He's never been discussed.
Wow.
So I'm saying it's not like these guys in the senior pool didn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. They certainly deserve to be discussed. I mean, Maxie Baughan, 9 Pro Bowls in a span of 10 years, and he's never even been a finalist.
I thought he was in.
Nope.
Holy cow, 9 Pro Bowlers. Maxie's a 9-time Pro Bowler, and he's never been discussed.
Never been discussed.
This guy's one of the legendary Eagles.
Right. And the guy played both right and left. He went to the Pro Bowl for both the Eagles and the Rams. Great player. Why has he not been discussed? Walt Sweeney went to 8 Pro Bowls, never been to finals, never been discussed. I think George Coons, great right tackle for first the Falcons and then the Colts. He goes to 8 Pro Bowls in a span of 11 seasons, and the 3 years he didn't go, he was injured. He's never been discussed. This guy was the 2nd overall pick of the NFL draft in 1967. He went to the Pro Bowl as a rookie. This is a great player that didn't win a championship and didn't make all-decade. George Coons and Maxie Baughan should have been discussed 25 years ago, and they sit in the senior pool. And now we want to rush all the more recent senior nominees in, the Kleckos and people like that. And we're just forgetting about all those players that got overlooked in the process.
Rick, before I move on to the Eagles and Cowboys, I do have to bring up one guy too. He's a dear friend of mine, and I'm biased because he's a Hurricane. But I mean, I look at, when you're talking about Dennis Hara. Dennis Hara is a 6-time Pro Bowler, and every year that he played alongside Jackie Slater, they were either one or two that led the National Football League in rushing the entire time that he was there. There are guys that have had less Pro Bowls that have been elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And here's a guy who was one of the greatest offensive guards in pro football history during his time. How has he not ever been discussed?
No championship, no all decade. I mean, you can look at a lot of these guys.
Well, then how do you justify Ed White not being in?
Same thing. No decade, no championship. I'm a big Ed White guy.
Even though 4 Super Bowls.
He didn't win. Like I said, there are 2 boxes check: win a championship, all decade. And that's, again, Dan, I've been on the city committee for almost 25 years. I've got a list right now of 100 players that I think need to be discussed in the senior pool. 100 players. And maybe they're not all Hall of Famers, but they did things in their career that are worthy of Hall of Fame discussion. Maybe 30 or 35 of them are Hall of Famers, but they're never going to get discussed. They're there. The Maxie Bonds, the George Coons, they get passed over every year. The Ed Whites, the Dennis Harris. How about this? They're every first team all decade guy in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. 8 decades. Every first team all decade guy is in except 4. There's a receiver, Labby Dilweg from the 20s. There's a guard, Bruno Banducci from the 30s, and Al Wister and Ox Emerson from the 40s. If you're a first team all decade, that is a rubber stamp. Why haven't these 4 gotten their just due? It's a rubber stamp. If you're first team all decade, you're in. There's only 4. You figure they're taking 22 a year, and there's only 4 that aren't in, and they've never even been discussed. Again, the system's flawed.
The system's flawed. How about I. Weissert?
Worcester, yeah. He goes to 8 Pro Bowls, 9 years. Back-to-back champion, all decade. He can't get in. Why is that? Why can't he can't even be discussed? And we had the Centennial Committee, which I thought was going to be for the guys in the 30s, 40s, 50s that had overlooked. And it wasn't. We put in a lot of them more modern candidates. I would love to see us have a second meeting in June or July. Spend 2 days and bring every name to the table you can think of. Anybody you think is worthy of discussion, and bring it. And let's figure out in that meeting who we should be talking about. But we won't do that. And we're down to one meeting, one face-to-face meeting. And I think we need to actually sit down and have a longer discussion about the whole pool of candidates, because the pool is gigantic. How does Albert Lewis not get on the final ballot until his 25th year? How about Everson Walls? He has to wait till his 25th year. Sam Mills, 25th year. Why do these guys have to wait? Because they didn't win championships. Didn't make all decade. The system's flawed.
Wow. Your take on Jimmy finally making it to the Cowboy Hall of Fame or Ring of Honor?
Should have happened about 15, 20 years ago. I mean, he's the reason
the first guy off that dynasty that was, because Troy said it, and he said it to me, and he said it publicly, that he thought of all the guys, the triplets and all the players that played in that era for that Cowboy team that won those 3 Super Bowls. He thought Jimmy should have went in before everybody else. Do you subscribe to that?
Yeah, they don't win 3 Super Bowls without Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy came in. Jimmy knew what a player looked like. I mean, Jimmy engineered the Herschel Walker deal. Jimmy got all those draft picks when he recruited a lot of those guys, the Aikmans and the Stepnoskis and all those great Tony players. He recruited them all. So he knew what a player looks like. He built, and when I pitched him on the contributor committee, I pitched him as a GM more than I did as a coach because of what he did in building that team. And I think that's the reason he's in, because a lot of guys coach champions. Very few guys build the team that they coach. And Jimmy did that. He's in a he's Paul Brown. He's in that class, that class of builders and coaches. Yeah.
Like Chuck Noll and those guys who were
Chuck Noll had a great scouting staff.
He did.
I mean, Dick Haley and Bill Nunn,
Rooney's.
Yeah, Rooney, Modrak. I mean, they had a great. It wasn't all Chuck Noll. A lot of it was Jimmy, though. Jimmy had final say in the draft room.
Yeah, the only guy that I could think of that helped him was Bob Ackles. That was kind of like the guy that was sitting next to him. But most of those selections, Bob Ackles called him and said, hey, the 49ers just called us and want to get Charles Haley. They thought they were sending him to the dump. And Jimmy goes, okay.
Yeah, but Bob put the board up. And Jimmy, one draft, I think it was 91. I was walking through the halls of Valley Ranch one early morning before the draft, and I bumped into Jimmy. And I said, are you ready? And he pulled out an index card, a 3x5 index card with about 14 names on it, and said, this is my board. Forget the 300 names on the draft board in the other room. This is my board. And I think he got like 11 or 12 of the guys that were on that index card. He knew exactly what he was looking for. He was looking for players with ability, with character, that could be champions. And he built a dynasty team.
Do you think Jerry Jones and Steven have built a championship team this year in Dallas?
We'll find out. We'll find out over the next 4 weeks. They got a brutal schedule. I tell you, if the quarterback keeps playing like this, they have a chance. But Dak has always played well against lesser teams. But the bigger opponents, tougher opponents, he's not the same guy. Now they're on a 4-game winning streak, but by and large, they've beaten a bunch of cupcakes. You look at what the Eagles have gone through these last 4 games. Dallas, Kansas City, Buffalo, San Francisco. If they're ever ready for a game, it's this week because of that schedule. Now, the Cowboys got their brutal stretch coming up. They got the Eagles, and then they got Miami and Detroit's in there. Buffalo at Buffalo. We're going to know over the next 4 weeks whether or not they are a Super Bowl contender. But they are playing like they want to be a Super Bowl contender. The quarterback, the defense with Micah Parsons. You could make an argument that Prescott's the MVP of the league, and you make an argument that Parsons could be Defensive Player of the Year. This is probably the best team they've had since one of those first.
I said since that Green Bay game, the Des Bryant no catch game, that might be the best team.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, and there's really no holes. The running game isn't what I would hope it would be. I think that's the one flaw. I think Elliott did bring those tough fourth quarter yards. I don't think they have that right now. But boy, their passing game is something to behold. I think they're second in the league in passing. Prescott's had a couple 300-yard games last 2 weeks. He threw for 370 against Eagles the first time. CD Lamb is lighting it up. I think he had 11 catches, 191 yards the first time they played the Eagles. This will be a fun game. I'm really glad the Eagles lost to San Francisco because all the marbles are on the table for both these teams. If the Eagles had won that game and gone in with a 2-game lead, it wouldn't have mattered. This is the season for these two teams. If the Cowboys lose this one, they know they're the 5th seed. They have to win.
Absolutely, man. There's no question this will be a 45 million viewed game. There's going to be massive ratings in this thing. And let me put this out there on Prescott. You said because he does look better. Am I to believe? Because I'm looking at Justin Herbert and I go, boy, I tell you what, Kellen Moore. There's not a lot of winning going on out there. Right. He doesn't look bad. And Jimmy said to me a long time ago, he goes, sometimes there's coordinators that like to put big points up and big yards up, but they don't try to win games. Right. It just looks at Mike McCarthy. You're winning games, and Prescott's better. There's more underneath high percentage passes. They're helping him go to the right guy. Is he been improved under McCarthy? Have you been surprised with the play calling? Because I have.
No, I think Mike knew what he wanted to do. I think Mike wanted, if he might have taken a play calling back last year. The thing about Dak's best year was his rookie year when he had Des Bryant, Jason Witten, Elliott, a Pro Bowl blocking front. When you put good to great players around Dak, he's a great player. And right now, the 3 receivers they got, they all could be go-to guys. I think the biggest plus is the tight end, Jake Ferguson. He's really come on. And the tight end is the key position in the NFL right now. You have to have the Travis Kelce. You have to have the dynamic, the Sam Laporta, the kid in Detroit. You got to have that guy. He's your outlet receiver. When in trouble, just look for the big guy in the middle. And he's given Dak that outlet. I'm not sure Dak had that last year. He's got it this year. Tight end is such a key position. This guy looks like a keeper.
Do you think that's one of the reasons why it's been a surprise the way the offensive passing game has been the development of him? Because to me, when I look at the wideouts, Brandon Crooks, Michael Gallup and those guys, kind of slow starts. But this kid, I watched him even in that Eagle game and that first Eagle game. He was getting open. I mean, Rick, I was really pleasantly surprised, and I would think Dallas has to be.
Yeah, 2 years ago, Darren Schultz was a go-to guy for Dak. He was the guy that caught a lot of the third down catches when in trouble. Dak was going to him. And he didn't have that last year. This year he does. I would not be surprised if Ferguson's, getting Pro Bowl votes. He's had that big of an impact on this offense. I think a great passing offense needs that tight end, and they've got him now. He opens things up for CeeDee Lamb, Gallup. Your safeties, somebody's got to focus on this tight end. You can't just double up the guys on the flank.
Tell me about Bland, because I thought in that Seattle game, I thought DK Metcalf had his way early with him and was pushing him around. Now he's done some historical things this year with those pick sixes. He's not quite. I don't think he's Diggs. I mean, when I watch Diggs is a gambler too, though. I mean,
yeah.
Rick, when you look at both of these guys, I think one thing Dan Quinn does, he doesn't keep them in a sandbox. He allows these guys to kind of roam around a little bit and play freewheeling, and he's kind of taken a little bit of that. Deron Bland, in your opinion, what kind of player? I mean, is he somebody that you're looking at for potentially also being Defensive Player of the Year conversation?
I can't say he's the best player in that defense, which is why I'd be reluctant to say he's Defensive Player of the Year. But he's very much like Diggs. He's big risk, big reward. He'll get beat on plays. And the Metcalf thing, he had 2 catches for 120 yards on touchdowns. Look bad. He got the big pass interference call in the end zone also. But he's got a nose for football, as does Diggs. And when Diggs comes back next year, that three-person corner is going to be pretty good. But he's high risk, high reward. You're going to see great plays by him, and you're going to see times where he just gets beat.
Are you disappointed in Mozzie Smith?
I don't know what your expectation was. He wasn't going to be Ndamukong Suh.
How about
they wanted him in rotation?
I think for me, Rick, it's because I see Jalen Carter every week.
Right. Well, there's a big difference between Jalen Carter and Mozzie Smith. No, but let me say this: they rank, they're 12th in the league in run defense. They brought him in strictly to play the run, and they're holding up against the run. So, is he going to make the all-rookie team? No, but I think he's contributing to the rotation up front.
What's the key to this game on Sunday for Dallas to beat the Eagles?
I'll tell you what, the Eagles they're 30th in the league in pass defense. This is really shocking to me that they're having.
And they're 32nd, Rick, in surrendering first downs.
Yeah, I think if they can't rush Dak, it's going to be a long day for the Eagles. And if the Cowboys can't keep Hurts in the pocket, it could be a long day for the Cowboys. And also, if DeAndre Swift has a big game, the Cowboys are not the greatest against the run. They're okay, but that's the one flaw in this defense. If they get the run going early and play action pass, it's going to be difficult for the Cowboys. But the way that Dallas offense is going right now, the Eagles better buckle it up. It's going to be a long afternoon.
I want you to do me a favor. Rank Michael Irvin, Dez Bryant, CeeDee Lamb.
Irvin, it's tough to overlook the jewelry. I'll say right now, Dez and Lamb. Lamb's still early in his career.
You think he can be better than Drew?
Different game.
Yep.
What people don't realize is, back when Drew Pearson played in the 70s with the rules, a receiver had to fight for every inch of space.
You were mugged all down the field.
Yeah, up and down the field. And you had to earn your catches. And he he went across the middle like no one business back then. I've got the highest regard for Drew. I think I'd be hard pressed to say Lamb is going to get past Drew because the guy Super Bowl rings and CD's got to win some rings like Michael and Drew to get in that discussion. He's got to be that receiver on the great teams. When you talk about the great receivers, by and large, they're championships. They're wearing rings. So again, CD's young. The rules allow him to dominate, but let's see him get a few rings before we start talking about him in the class with Irvin and Drew Pearson.
Last question for you.
Yes, sir.
Is it an upgrade with Dak Prescott over Tony Romo?
I think it can be. I think Dak still has a chance to go to a title game. They couldn't win in the playoffs with Romo either. I think Dak has got a chance. If he can go to the conference title game or even a Super Bowl, I think he puts a stamp on being better than Romo. And he's young. If he stays healthy, he should break the records that Romo has because the game allows you to throw the football. And he's putting up some incredible numbers right now. You give him weapons, he's a great quarterback. And right now they're giving him weapons.
I want to sneak one on you here with Jimmy and Jerry. I believe that's the Detroit game that they're going to put him in the Ring of Honor. Is the reason that they didn't put him in the Ring of Honor is because Jerry had to finally come to the conclusion and the grips that it was really Jimmy because they haven't been able to duplicate anything that Jimmy has done in over 28 years when it came to being a Super Bowl true contender. Because at the end of the day, Rick, he's been in charge of football operations. He's been in charge of coaches being hired, personnel being hired, and Jimmy did everything, and all he did was sign the checks. I'm not saying that's not important because it is.
Right.
But at the end of the day, doesn't this validate him going into the Ring of Honor that it was really Jimmy and really Jerry had very little to do with this?
I think Jerry's known that for quite some time.
But has he been able to come to grips with it?
Yeah, I think a big part of it was him getting in the Hall of Fame. I think the fact that both were in the Hall of Fame has made it so much easier. If Jimmy was in the Hall of Fame and Jerry wasn't, I don't know this day comes. But Jerry's in the Hall of Fame, Jimmy's in the Hall of Fame, and now they're hugging each other and you think they're best friends. So yeah.
I know. I saw him in LA. I'm like, what are those? What is that?
What are we looking at here? This is not what I recall from the 90s. Yeah, I think had Jerry not gotten the Hall of Fame, this day may not have come. But the fact they both have bus and Canton, I think it really smoothed over a lot of the rough edges.
Hey, Rick, I told him, I said, hey, that meeting you had in LA at the Rams game, a lot different than that Orlando meeting, huh? He's like, don't tell anybody about that Orlando meeting.
I was there.
Hey, man, what happened there in that Orlando meeting?
I was there when Jimmy slammed the trunk of the car, jumped in, and took off. I was the only reporter there at that point. So yeah, I'm happy for Jimmy. Jimmy
transpire. I know you were.
Yeah, I'm happy for Jimmy. Jimmy should have been in. You're right. Jimmy probably should have gotten in before the whole bunch of them. But it's good that he got in. It gives him closure on the Dallas chapter of his life, and he can get on with being the TV guy that he is now.
Yeah, big star now. I look. You see the book over there? I tell him that's not the same guy Rick and I knew.
That is truth.
That is not the same guy Rick and I knew. Rick, thank you so much for your time.
Okay, Dad.
Family's healthy. Okay, I hope all is going well. Thank you so much. Happy holidays to you, my friend. Thank you so much.
Okay, take care.
You got it. The great Rick Gosselin, Hall of Fame voter, Talk of Fame Network, our dear friend. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
Any professional sports coach will tell you there's no substitution for preparation. At Malamut & Associates, that is a tenet by which we live. We prepare from day one for victory. Anything less is not acceptable.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their Fantasy Pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Okay, here's who I'm voting for the Heisman. Jaden Daniels, LSU, 1. Michael Penix Jr., Washington, 2. Bo Nix, Oregon, 3. Marvin Harrison Jr., Ohio State, 4. Marvin Harrison's the best. You know what's crazy? Marvin Harrison's the best player of these names. Like, Marvin Harrison's the best player, but he can't win the Heisman. I think he's got 14 touchdowns this year. Okay? Right? So that's who I'm going with. I'm going with Jaden Daniels. He's had a really great year. I think that kid, if I'm not mistaken, hey, Yale, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that kid at Arizona State first with Herm? I think that kid was at Arizona State first with Herm Edwards. So, yeah, Brian Kelly gets to coach a Heisman Trophy winner. I think this kid was an Arizona State guy. And Herm Edwards had that dude there, if I'm not mistaken. So, Dallas Cowboys getting closer to that game on Sunday, obviously. Hey, man, I think the 49er ass beating was a 2-day layover. Okay? I think that bad puppy was a 2-day layover for everybody. So, hey, man, I want to thank everybody for coming aboard. Tomorrow's hump day, getting closer to that game. That's going to be a gigantic game. Could be 45 million people watch that bad puppy. Thank you guys so much. Please hit the like button. Xander, Big Joe, thank you so much. As always, 2 to 6 tomorrow, and we shall see you on the flip side.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.